what is going on, guys? We're here at the Tech Mahindra Chess Global Chess League, right? My name is Tanya Sachdev. Actually, I'm here with Tanya Sachdev. I'm James Canty III, and I have Ketty as well. Guys, are you excited, ladies? We here today. What's up?
I'm hyped, James. Ketty, it's gonna be so much fun. We've got two big matches.
Yes, we do.
Incredible players, big fights, and we've got the best seats in the house.
Ooh, and we got some crazy matchups today, right, Ketty? You excited for today?
I am super excited because this is going somewhere in the halfway and we're very close to the end.
Right.
And the players already started to be a bit nervous. They shake up a little bit, and that's actually causes a lot of excitement in chess.
Absolutely, of course. Lots of excitement, and we got two matches today, guys. So make sure you guys are watching because it's going to be exciting, right? So we have today's matchups. Here they are on the screen. We have the Ganges Grandmasters versus the Triveni Continental Kings. Then you have the Ballin Alaskan Knights versus the SG Alpine Warriors. All right, look. Hey, what do we have here, Tanya? What do you think about these matchups?
I'm loving it because two teams today who are playing are at the top of the leaderboard.
Right.
The Ganges Grandmasters
Right.
and the SG Alpine Warriors. For
That's
the
right.
other two teams, it's fighting to stay alive. They've got to win their matches to
Right.
get on the mix, and we can expect fireworks today on all the boards.
Yeah, and I would say that Alpine Warriors, they had such a big party yesterday on the private yacht.
On the yacht?
Yeah.
Ooh-wee. On the yacht. Hey, man, I'm trying to give them a yacht too as well. Okay, well, in the meantime, while we talk about this yacht, we actually going to take a look at the points table, guys. So we got to take a look at these points to see what's on the leaderboard there. As you see, right up there, we got the Alpine Warriors at the top. They are killing it. The Ganges Grandmasters right behind them. Of course, they were actually in first before that. You got the Mumba Masters, then the Triveni Continental Kings, CGT, Chingari Golf Titans. They were at the bottom, but they actually are tied with the Ballin Alaskan Knights here at the same time. All right. Wow. That's fire. That's pretty good, huh?
It's super
It
good.
is.
But I have to say one thing, guys. That leaderboard doesn't tell the whole story because we saw Ganges Grandmasters who are on the
Right.
second position.
Right.
They've got a match in hand.
Wow.
They've got an extra match to play compared to the team SG Alpine Warriors at the top and the Mumba Masters. And that's big advantage.
That's a big advantage, of course. And at the same time here, guys, I mean, look, everybody can listen here. We're watching. You guys can listen with Amazon, our partner, our official audio streaming partner. Amazon Music is giving away one Echo show. That's this right here. Of course, yeah, I might take this with me as well. But each for every male partner or every male player and one of the series and every female player of the series as well here. So that's Amazon, our partner. Shout out to Amazon Music for that, guys.
Speaking of music,
yeah,
James, Ketty mentioned about the yacht party, but the Alpine Warriors, they've got to be careful. It might be too soon to celebrate.
Right, what do you think about that, Kenny?
Well, I always like to celebrate victory with the party. And another very important thing is that yesterday what we have seen was the loss of the Ganges Grandmasters. There
Right.
was such a big shock.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also the team which was below only scored half a point. Chingari Golf Titans, they actually won.
Yeah.
And I would say this is game for everyone.
Ooh, game for everyone. Speaking of game, well, let's look at the teams. What teams we got up here? Take a look at today's teams, right? So we're going to have the Ganges Grandmasters. As you see right here, that's a squad right there. You got Anand, you got Richard Rapport, Dominguez, Ho Yifan, right? Then you have Kochinashvili and Yesipenko. That is a squad right there. Okay, then the next team, Triveni Continental Kings. Ooh-wee. Yeah, they are a force to be reckoned with too as well. You got Levon, a.k.a. LeBron Aronian, and then you have Yu Yangi. Wei Yi having the best game in the Pro Chess League ever. A very aggressive attacking player. You got Katarina Lagno. You got Dagnese and also the Jonas there, whose birthday is today. Wow, that's pretty
Ooh,
crazy.
happy birthday. We have
Happy
him
birthday.
now
Look at
on
him.
the screen
Young
together
fella.
with the team icon, Levon Aronian.
Levon, right?
And the
Levon.
Capitan as well is here, who, by the way, won all possible toss that has been played before.
You know the guy on that squad that everybody pays attention to the most? The icon player, LeBron, a.k.a. Levon Aronian, right? I always like to call him LeBron. When we call him that, also, he was like doing this. Every time I say LeBron Aronian, he actually does this, just so you know. So when you call him that, he will do this, right? That's how he feels, of course. Speaking of that, we have a video for you guys from the man himself, actually, about LeBron Aronian. Levon, that is.
Levon Aronian.
Levon Aronian.
Okay, I'm ready. Levon Aronian's strength is his creativity.
He's an extremely creative chess player. He's
creating so much action on the board.
His strength is his colorful shirts.
Trickster.
And on the other hand, he's also quite solid player, so it's very tough to win against him.
Perhaps the most famous trickster in the world of chess, but also a fantastic all-round player.
I think he's also a very creative player and one that I look up to the most.
The weakness might be
His creativity.
he was invited at the tournament, I think very last moment, and he was struggling with some business and stuff, and this might just got him tired.
Fancy play syndrome is something that he occasionally struggles with.
And it pretty much depends how fast he recovers.
I'd say the weakness is quite funny because one of the co-commentators referred to him as LeBron-Aronian. So maybe his ability to shoot some shots.
That's amazing there. Look at him ready to go here with his buddies, his compatriots there, his team members. He's ready to go. Wow, that's funny, huh, Tanya?
James, not his buddies, that guy, Wei, who we see on the screen right now, he's got 3.5 out of 4 for the Triveni Continental.
Say it twice.
Here, and that's a lot of scoring. He's been the hero of the team so far. And we see them having a good time, which means they're ready for this big match against the Ganges Grandmasters.
Indeed, this is a time when they have to stop Ganges Grandmasters, because who else will stop? We don't like to count on the other teams. We need to take it by our hands.
You know what makes the Ganges Grandmasters so strong? Of course, besides the fact that they've got Vishayan and as an icon player, every single player on that team has got 50% and more.
Wow.
Where do you strike, James?
Cool. You know, that's a good question, of course. Where are you going to strike? Hey, chat, that's for you to figure out at home, of course, as we go into our coin toss to see what colors they're about to get for this match.
All right, what is it?
All right, and here we are, the coin toss. Loic Van Welly is like, yeah, is that a coin? That's the real coin, right? All right, just making sure, bro. Making sure. All right, I got heads. And let's see what we have.
Who won it? That went pretty
Who
far.
won? Hey, flip that boy. That's a strong thumb there. And the result is, okay, the Ganges Grandmasters, they won the toss, and they choose white. They chose the white pieces, ladies. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm surprised again. Why not black colors? Because with the black pieces, if you win, you get 4 points.
Right.
And with white pieces, if you win, you get 3
points,
points.
yeah.
And in case if 2 black boards wins, you have 0 chance to survive in that match. So
Absolutely.
still, this is really, really curious for me why team captains are not choosing black pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's surprising, but let's not forget that they play against each other twice in this Global Chess League, which is what makes it so exciting. So even though they start with the white pieces this match, the next time they face each other, they will play with black. So they'll have that chance to strike back.
Absolutely. They do have that time to strike back, of course, and that's important to understand here as they're walking through the tunnel like it's, you know, so big sports here, basketball or football. Oh, man, you just get hyped to see them walking through the tunnel right there. Anan looks super hyped, doesn't he? No, he doesn't. He just looks regular, of course. That's how
He just wants to get on the board and win the game. That's what he wants.
And here we are with the matchups, baby. Let's go. We got Vishy Anand playing Lovan, a.k.a. LeBron Aroni. That's going to be a heavyweight matchup on the icon board. Richard Report versus Yu Yangi there. You have Lanier Dominguez versus Wei Yi. Excited to see that one. Ho Yifan versus Katarina Lagno. Bella Kotinashvili versus Nana Danisne. And then Andrei Yesipenko versus Jonas Vigier. It's his birthday today. What are you looking forward to, Tanya?
That's a big one. The 6th spot that you just pointed out, you said it's Jonas' birthday. Let's hope it's going to be a happy one. But he's facing Andrei Yesipenko. Andrei Yesipenko is undefeated. He's on 2.5 out of 4.
Wow.
It's going to be a tough birthday for Jonas.
It's going to be a tough birthday as well, especially for Wei Yi too as well. I mean, Wei Yi having 3.5 out of 4, Kenny. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, I'm looking myself the women's second board. They are 2 Georgian chess players, and they know each other quite well. They have been played in the same team for years and years. They have won titles together, and now I can guess that this will not be a friendly game at all.
Oh, it's not going to be friendly, of course, guys. Well, you friends at home, stick around, of course, because we're going to take a short break, and the action is coming right after this break, guys. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome to the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League. The liftoff is about to happen any moment soon. With me is Katie and Jesse. How are you guys doing?
Perfect. Is that Samay? Are you back?
Yes,
Finally.
sir. I'm back. Really excited to watch this match between the Ganges Grandmasters and the Triveni Continental Kings. Here we have Vishwanathan Anand and Levon Oronian, two of the finest chess players of the game. What do you think about this matchup?
I saw how Anand was walking into playing venue. I think he cannot wait this game to start. I don't know about Oronian.
Yeah, I think it's actually very, very important for the Ganges Grandmasters. They were leading yesterday, well, the start of the day, and I believe if Ganges Grandmasters wins this match, they're back on top, and I think they know that.
Here's the order of play. Vishwanathan Anand taking on Levon Oronian on the icon board, followed by Richard Rapport and Yu Yangi. Lenia Dominguez, Wei, who's unstoppable in this tournament so far. What do you think about his performance?
This is the dream of every chess player. Usually when you have a good tournament, you're winning all the games or making a draw. You're actually keeping like that to you until the end.
Yeah, he must be doing something right. I kind of need that secret ingredient. Whatever he's taking, I need.
Sure he does.
Then we have Ho Yifan and Katrina Lagno. Also, we have two Georgian chess players.
I'll go ahead with that. Bella Hotanashvili and Nana Zagnidze.
Thank you for saving us.
Georgian names are very difficult to pronounce, for me.
I know, and the players are waiting any second the game can start. You guys can feel the tension right now in the playing venue.
Levon looks pretty chill. And there you have it, the handshake. The clock starts, and now it's white to play, and we
She
have
goes with
E4.
Ooh.
Wow.
Let's bring up the game so we can see them as well. E4. And I love how Aronian is always like puffing out his chest, stating his dominance right before. It's always that psychological upper hand.
Oh, we have the Rai Lopez on board. Wow.
Is it your favorite opening? You're so excited.
It is my favorite opening these days, and I'm playing some good chess. By the way, guys, if you have not seen it yet, you can go to Twitter.
Stop.
I have beat both these ladies.
I think I'm gonna leave now. I think it's good to
We're
go.
going. We're
So
going.
I guess
You're gonna
I'm
be
the
alone
expert here today.
Yeah.
So ladies,
all a
what
fluke.
can I teach you in this opening? Tell me.
How to do Photoshop.
Yeah, nice skills, by the way. Nice skills. Well, we have to admit, Jesse,
Yeah.
both of us lost a game.
Right.
I lost on time. You lost on checkmate.
I don't know
Shame
what you're
on
talking
us.
about.
Shame on us, but good job to
Okay,
you.
C3 is played with the idea of D4.
Exactly.
Do you think it's already okay to play D4, or should you go Rook E1 and protect the pawn first? Oh,
He
directly
goes right away
Rook.
because you're attacking the bishop. That's very important in chess, especially in this time control, to play very fast and very sharp. You don't need to protect the pawn on E4, because if black dares to take this pawn, then good luck to survive, because I'm gonna attack this knight and then I'm gonna aim the king, which has not castled yet.
I was gonna ask actually, what is your favorite part of the Rai Lopez? I mean, it's not an opening that I particularly play, but I'd love to know what you enjoy about it.
I just love how it has so many attacking possibilities. Like Katie mentioned, if this pawn is taken, the game becomes very, very sharp, and those are the positions I really enjoy. I think it becomes an open position, and that's what gives the flavor of the opening. I mean, it's a very, very aggressive opening, especially with this bishop eyeing the king, this rook joining in. The center is going to open anytime soon. I think there are going to be some fireworks on this board.
That's right. I have seen some of the games where bishop d5 has also been played.
Oh.
This is so annoying move. You can't really take this bishop because you don't want to open any files in the center, yet you have not castled. You don't want to do that. And on the other hand, the knight on the c6 is hanging. So I agree with that there is a lot of attacking possibilities here.
So instead of bringing the bishop out from the c1 square, the dark squared bishop, what happens if white does play bishop d5? I mean, potentially giving up the bishop for the knight?
Here you mean bishop d5?
Right.
Yeah, that's actually black has to just chill here and also just guard the
take?
knight with bishop to d7 or bishop to b7, just to move the light
see.
square bishop.
Okay.
Not to take that. It's not
But
a
we
good
have bishop g4 right now, pinning this knight. Now the knight can't move. Maybe you can just kick it away. You can ask the bishop what it's doing here with h3.
I love this. And Samai, when the bishop is out now, bishop d5 to centralize this bishop would actually make more sense, because who likes to move the bishop back on d7 to guard your knight. It's like, you don't want to do that.
True, true. Also, another move that I come across many times in these positions is the knight to d2, removing the spin so that the queen can move freely. Right now, the problem is if the queen goes anywhere, this bishop is going to take the knight, the pawn's going to take back, the king is now wide open, and an attack can come on the white king. So maybe protect this, remove the spin, and then you are free to move your queen.
Anand just played
A little
that.
bit breezy.
Oh, no,
Queen E1.
Queen E1?
Is that correct? Oh, right. Sorry,
no, that was a mouse slip.
Knight to d2. Okay,
So that's what
I
happened.
feel now less worried that I lost against the Mai. He just guessed Anand's move.
I think so. I think they have some like telepathic connection, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Right. So knight d2, freeing up the queen, like you said. And now Aronian sort of has to find a way forward here. Does he castle? What would you play with black, Kessie?
I would for sure just make sure that my king is safe and I would castle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, castling is most important in chess, guys. You need to know all the basics, and we have some trivia for you so that your basics get even stronger. Here's the trivia question for the viewers at home. You can answer by tweeting #GlobalChessLeague, and the winner gets nothing but a retweet.
I was hoping for a crisp high five.
Let's go. What is that?
What's the trivia? Can we have the trivia, please?
Yeah, it's probably.
Want to win something?
The game of chess is believed to have originated in India, where it was called Chaturanga. Prior to 6th century AD, the game became popular in India and then spread to Persia and the Arabs. Oh, so this was not a question, it was just trivia, actually.
Yeah, yeah, okay. That is good to know.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you guys the exact same question. Like, do you know what chess was called before it was called chess? Yeah, originating in India.
Apparently, people would, the kings would settle wars by playing chess. Like, why fight with real people? Let's fight over the board.
Can solve so many problems nowadays. Samai, shall we bring all the boards on the screen and maybe ask Master Swidler to just choose one of the games which is the most exciting for the moment?
Master Swidler.
Hello, children, and welcome to the end of the round 5 and this exciting matchup with Genghis Grandmasters playing against Triveni Continental Kings. And the board I wanted to highlight was board 5, where it felt like White had a very nice opportunity to perhaps get a very strong attack early from the opening, and it still looks very promising for White, but I wanted to highlight an even more energetic approach than the one that Bela Haranashvili is showing right now. So if we could just take a look at board 5 for a second. Yeah, that's the old Georgian matchup on that board, with Bela playing the white pieces. And another interesting thing, while we're waiting for the diagram to pop up, I noticed that on board 2 and on board 5, the Ganges Grandmasters are playing the same somewhat quirky line, which I don't know if it's necessarily in both of those players' repertoire. So I wonder if this is an example of the team actually preparing together. We haven't seen this very much so far. At least we haven't seen much evidence of it. Perhaps they are preparing together, but it's difficult to judge from the outside. But today, both Bela Katanashvili and Richard Rapport on board 2 played the Reti opening, which we haven't seen them play until today. As for the position in question, Bela has just developed her queenside knight. But instead of that, I was wondering if even maybe the immediate e2, e4 for White, instead of the move knight c3, was perhaps playable, trying to open the position immediately. Yes, it is a pawn sacrifice, but the black king is stuck in the center while the white king is already castled, and I think accepting that pawn sacrifice could have been potentially quite dangerous for black. So I thought it was, at the very least, an interesting option, which, as I can now see, the evaluation bar disagrees with quite violently, but it did look promising to me for a second. On other boards, we have a very sharp Sicilian in a game between Lenier Dominguez and Vei, and potentially a very sharp Italian between Hou Yifan and Caterina Lagno. So the match is looking very promising in terms of getting an exciting fight on most of the boards.
Wow, we just jumped from one board to another, and we saw in both games question marks, which means that those moves were the worst moves in the game.
If a developing move is a question mark, then I don't know what I'm doing with myself here.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
This one is very harsh. It looks perfectly natural, and sometimes our silicon overlords, they do treat us unfairly, I feel.
Agree. I agree with that.
Thank you so much, Master. Good luck.
My pleasure.
Right now we have the board. Who you can look at this.
Yeah, that's
This bishop e3, it might be a mistake according to the computer, but I think what she wants to do is exchange this long diagonal which is looking at the king side. And if Lagno takes this, you take it back, and now your king is completely safe. There are no black pieces attacking your king.
That is right, and I agree with that. I just wonder why this is so bad move, what it can be. Is it some like pawn push on the side to attack the knight? Is that the one? Is that another pawn push the other side? Like maybe the pawn in the center. Man, this is so difficult.
Could be like if you push this pawn and attack the knight, where does the knight go? The knight can't go here. The knight will look very silly on the side. They say the knight at the rim is dim. So the knight will have to come back all the way to, d2. And now already you see it's a very, very strong pawn storm coming. And this might actually be a very brutal attack.
You know, in the basics, they say, you're supposed to castle early, get the king safe. But now we see black's king is in the center, which allows some sort of kingside attack for now. Because, the pawns are still stuck in the center. There are no open files. So maybe black's king is still safe.
She did play g4, by the way.
Oh.
Yay! Nice. I'm happy. I don't know if it's a good move or not, but I love to see any kind of pawn push on the king side, because you guys, it means that we're gonna have here very sharp game. Black will attack on the king side, white's king, and black is not going to castle on the short side for sure.
Also, this rook, do you think this rook should come to g8 and the king should aim for a long castle instead of a short castle right now?
Oh, for sure. For sure, black should not castle on the short side anymore, because that's gonna be self checkmate.
Self-mate.
Autogol, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was wondering
So-
what happens if the knight does go to the edge of the board here. So let's quickly take a look.
Jesse, this knight is not protected well, and black's queen from d8 attack just scans this knight. I don't know if anything
there a tactic?
works. Perhaps it can be some tactic,
Maybe
but
knight
A little
e4,
tic-tac. Okay, that's what I was looking at.
and you take it back.
Well,
And
he
you
did
take the
play the knight back as Sime suggested, but looks like, I do like that prospect of a tactic.
Yeah,
But
I think the problem here was after knight h4, like you said, Jesse, this is a...
what happens?
You give up this knight, and
Yes.
then you win this knight over here. Now you have a weakness, a long-term weakness on e4, and as the game goes ahead, this weakness will be converted by black very easily.
This is giving me PTSD.
Also, look at this. After this takes,
Yeah.
I mean, you can take back with the rook, but if you had to take with the pawn, it would be another weakness. But so
Ooh,
far, I think,
true.
it's okay. But all right, that didn't happen. What happened is the knight has gone back, which again is not looking good for white, because now this knight is unable to come in the game from here. It has to reroute from here, which is a very weird looking move. So I think white is going to have some problems finding the best moves.
That's right, and we have another pawn push on the H file. This is a question mark situation here, but look at this situation, what we have now. White has too many pieces on the queen side and not too much on the king side. So if Lana here starts a serious attack, then I'm afraid that this king might need some help.
Yeah. Can we have a look at all the boards and see what's happening with a bird's eye view so that we know which game to go to?
I think that's a great idea. I see something happening on the Georgian board. Is that
Ooh.
correct?
Yeah, the pawn in the center and the king in the center too. I think we should go there.
It
tonight.
looks very similar to what Peter suggested with e4.
That is right. So
It's
we had
really
e4,
hard.
right, in the game.
It looks like.
Do you think it's
Oh,
already
right.
time for e4? Because the
has
king
been
is in the
played,
center, like
yeah.
Peter said, and then maybe you get the rook to even. I know the engine might not like this move.
But opening it up there for the king, because white's king is safe. And the quickest way to attack is to open up a file, even if it means you are sacrificing a pawn.
Maybe now just
Alright.
keep pushing because this pawn is a weakness. Just give it up.
And attack the knight. You have to play very, very sharp and all this targeting move. And you know what? Win all the time and bring all the pieces on the board. When you push the pawn forward, it creates more space for your pieces. So I agree with that. I think Bella is just considering to play this move. There are more moves to Samai here. For instance, to jump this knight in the center and tuck the bishop. I love that move as well.
I like that. And, you know, in chess, I was always told there are 3 different types of chess players. There's a tactical chess player, there's a positional chess player, and if you want to be really strong, there's a universal, you know, a little mix of both. What do you consider yourselves, guys?
Samai?
I'm, what they say, a horrible chess player.
It looks as really bad because we just lost a game against
Sorry,
you,
there are four different types of chess players.
But all right, I mean, in this position, like you guys were saying, e5 is a possibility, right? But often what happens is with e5, this pawn can get attacked once more by knight g4, and now there are 2 attackers to this one pawn. And I mean, you can defend it with the rook e1.
Ooh, but now the black bishop comes out, maybe?
Yeah.
Put some pressure on the pawn near the king, that f2 pawn.
So I don't think, you know, I don't think e5 should be played right now. What else can we play here? What else could be played? Maybe a simple development move like rook e1. When in doubt, develop your pieces.
I like that.
I like that. Maybe we can ask Master Swidler, what should be? Is it knight to e5? Is it just a developing move? Or knight to d4 is an attacking move? Please help.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. White is currently, I think even optically this looks very nice for white. White is clearly better developed. White already castled than the black king. Still needs 2 moves to castle kingside. So it makes sense in such situations to play as energetically as possible, to not let black finish development. And the move that is probably the best one here is the one you mentioned. And Samay is correct. When you play e5, which is good here, the pawn often becomes weak. And here it has to be basically connected with giving it up immediately for additional initiative. If we continue the line a little bit, you play e5, you attack the knight. The knight, as Samay mentioned, goes to g4, attacks that pawn. And now we go knight d4. And the black position starts getting under severe pressure because the bishop cannot really run away. It is the only piece protecting that knight, that forward knight that black has on g4. So you have to take that pawn, probably with your back knight. I think taking with the g4 knight on e5 is incredibly bad. I think you probably take with the knight that is currently on d7. White will take the bishop. Black will recapture that knight. And we can, of course, play something like queen to the b3 square, attacking both of black pawns on b7 and e6. We can also do something else, but this is a kind of a position where, despite black having an extra pawn, her pieces will be quite poorly coordinated. There's a number of weaknesses white could play against. And of course, the king safety difference is quite massive here, with white enjoying much the better of it. So the question is, does Bella go for this? She has other options, which are also quite good. The move knight d4 immediately, but she plays e5.
Ooh,
Very well played by Bella there. We saw it on our screen. So, yeah, this looks very, very promising for Ganges Grandmasters right this moment.
Wow,
Look
this
at
position
this.
is already going in the favor of Ganges Grandmasters, and maybe this is one of those games that can lead them to the top of the leaderboard.
Back on the leaderboard.
That's true.
I love this move e3, and also, guys, Bella took about 3 minutes to calculate all the moves, and you know what? It's really scary when they're taking time. It means that she calculated way far, and she has seen something very interesting. So, we do have a lot of updates on the other boards. Shall we bring the bird's eye view and pick either? Like I can suggest two boards, but okay, now your choice. You can choose the first board, an under onion. Look at this pawn structure. This is on the left side on the top. I have not seen this pawn structure quite often. And another board is a Sipenko Pierre. This is the right side below. Also looks very interesting.
I think just 2 moves ago, they pushed that kingside pawn 2 squares up. Already saying, listen, I'm ready to fight. These are fighting words right here.
Right.
And yeah, as we saw, you know, Ganges Grandmasters are sitting in 2nd place. They're 3 match points behind, so all they need is 1, you know, match win and 4 game points, which I think already is guaranteed if they win the match.
Right, and look at this. I think we should go on the 6th board. I think we should go on the 6th board as Esipenko is giving very unpleasant birthday gift to his opponent.
True, it's his
That's so
19th
rude.
birthday. Yeah, Jonas is celebrating his 19th birthday today. So
Right.
hopefully that means good chess or maybe even some gifts over the board.
Have you guys ever played chess on your birthday?
This year, yes.
And how did that go?
Horribly. Unfortunately. Yeah.
I know, I know.
There we have it, guys. The points table. The SG Alpine Warriors currently leading the tournament, but they have played one extra game. So the Ganges Grandmasters have a chance to climb and, you know, give them a good fight at the top of the leaderboard. And everything depends on these 6 matches. Right now, we are on board number 6. It is the birthday boy taking on Andrei Esipenko. F6 has been pushed. Should we take this pawn or no, Ketty?
Oh, wow, you better take it. If you don't take it, then I'm gonna take it. It's hanging 2 ways. What Esipenko did, I love that, to open up the H file for its rook. And you might ask, like, where is the rook? I don't see that the rook. But you can do some rook leaves. You can do like rook e3, rook h3 right away, or maybe g3, king g2, and rook to h1. That takes more time. But here we have black actually striking right away in the center and attacking the knight, and seems like this move is a very aggressive one. I think we should consider to take on f6 as Esipenko just did. I wonder, Jesse, if you were here with black, would you take with a pawn, rook, or with a queen? Because you have 3 options.
Yeah, I was looking at the queen and I like that idea with rook e3, like bringing up the rook with that. And as James would say, you know, do you even lift, bro? So yeah, so I think maybe taking with the queen just because there would be a nice pressure point in white's position on the f2 square, if we can highlight that. There we go. And so there would be a threat of check. And even though white can maybe just move the king to the side, I would still want to defend this pawn.
Maybe
I don't
with a
know.
move, but like if you want to come back with the rook, that's not good, right? Because you just moved the rook out, you don't want to bring it back in. It just went out.
But awkward, yeah.
Maybe then just push f3 and then just protect everything. But the king looks very weak. The only good thing though is that black has no dark square bishops to take control over this weakness.
But then we can't even lift, bro. You know, we can't.
Yeah,
we
we can't. But you can't get both. You know, you have to miss something. You cannot have everything.
However, guys, what about the pawn on e6? This is really lovely. Not lovely, lonely pawn out there, can be under attack, and very often we would like to compare knight versus bishop, and we can say this knight is way stronger. Piece queen g3 has been found here. Actually, this is quite safer move.
Okay.
Guarding the pawn on f2 and also keeping the ideas of this rook leave there. Can be some kind of knight jumping on g4, attacking the queen, and so on and so on. And another thing is that this queen guards the pawn on the other side of the board on the 3rd rank c3, so you can free your rook. But free the rook and move the rook, and you can move this rook on b file maybe.
Ketty, you're saying this queen is protecting this pawn, this queen is protecting this pawn, this queen is doing a lot of things. Isn't this queen overloaded?
Girl.
Like now the queen cannot move from here. It's just stuck over there. It's like, you know, it's like my mother.
Oh no!
Just taking care of everything at the house.
I was going to ask you to explain that one to us.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So yeah.
So maybe this. Do you think this can be like after move like queen f5, rook coming in? This queen is now overloaded, right? Because it is doing so many things. Is it a good thing to be overloaded like that?
No, never, never, never. It's not good. Not in chess, neither in life to be overloaded with anything. But for the moment, this queen is the perfect piece to make other pieces happy. And this queen cannot be under attack. Look at this, what black just played. Bishop went all the way back, but it doesn't have any threats at all. And the black's plan is not so easy, while white can just double the rooks on the e file and start to aim to attack the pawn on e6, because this pawn is very big.
This pawn's going to fall. Here's
he's
a
going
trivia
for
for the chat. This is a question to you guys who are watching at home on OTT platforms, on Geo Cinema, on so many platforms. We are streaming in 150 countries. The question is, what do you call this knight and this pawn situation? Can anyone tell me? Hashtag Global Chess League is where you have to answer. What do you call this knight that cannot be moved by any of black's pieces?
Good question. I love that. Also a very tough one.
Do you know the answer to this, Jesse?
I'm focusing really hard. Maybe you can help us out there, Samay.
So this is called, if you didn't guess it right, guys, it's called the outpost. The knight is on an outpost. It cannot be removed. there is no black dark square bishop to even capture it. So this knight is going to stay here for a long time.
Wow,
Yeah.
impressed. How fast are you learning chess? This is really impressive.
And to that
Samai.
we say good night.
It's a good night, yeah.
It's a good night. Guys, shall we check
Oh, we see
what's
the
going
lift.
on?
He lifted, bro. Oh, and a quick queen f4, threatening the white queen, and an exchange. Is this a good time for white to exchange? Does white have a choice here?
Why not? I mean, you have the outpost, you have a good knight versus the, the bishop over there. In fact, I think Bobby Fischer had once said, it doesn't matter what is on the board. It doesn't matter what is out of the board. What matters is what remains on the board. So let's say if you take this away, okay, the queens are gone, they're off the board. That doesn't matter because now what you have is actually much superior than the opponent.
Right.
I like that.
Master Riddler has something to tell us, guys. Let's give him a mic.
Yeah, there's been a massive development on the top board, on the icon board, and Vishy seems to be potentially back to his winning ways because Levon has just committed a massive mistake on board one. You can sort of understand why he would miscalculate there because the move that Vishy just played is that's Levon at his kind of most disgusted right there. He knows he's done something quite unforgivable. But the reason you miss such a capture, and the reason this capture is so strong, is that, first off, you generally don't want to break up your structure on the king side like this. And this is why players playing the black pieces here, they very safely normally play the move that Levon played, knowing white never wants to take that pawn. But Vishy does take, and the reason it's so strong is that if black recaptures, white has the move queen to d5, which wins a full piece,
That is a
attacking both the
double
rook and the
attack.
bishop.
A
And-
double attack.
This is basically resigns, and
Wow.
the choices are very few and none of them are good. You basically have to go back with the bishop, you have to go to h7, and you're now a full pawn down, and Vishy probably quite happily just offers the queen trade on the d6 square. He's up a pawn, the bishop on h7 looks extremely silly.
Replace the pawn, Peter.
Yeah.
It was a pawn. Levon wanted to push this pawn away to have some space for the king, and now he has taller pawn on h7. That's really
this
sad.
this looks extremely bad for black. I would suggest probably just winning for Vishy, who continues having an unbelievably good tournament. In particular with the white pieces. It will be interesting to see how Genji's Grandmasters fare in the second half of the tournament, where Vishy will have to play a lot more with black. But so far, this is a stellar performance by Genji's Grandmasters icon, and this has just to be winning for him.
Right, and as you predicted, the queens are off the board. White was controlling the only open file in the position as well. So now that rook is attacking the pawns, and even though this rook is not on the 7th rank, it's on the 6th rank. I was always told if the rook is on the same rank as a bunch of pawns, it's basically Pac-Man. It's going nom nom nom, you know. All the pawns are going to be falling.
This is
Also,
what is
this
happening.
knight is now going to come in the game. I mean, look, he's
Oh
not...
no! Look,
Some
this
quick
the
moves.
pawn sacrifice, Samai, which was
Yeah.
played by Anand. That's so brutal to the bishop, because bishop here on h7 is forever locked. How can you bring that unless you bring the king on the side and then in that way? But Anand just give it away.
Yeah, that's
move.
exactly,
And it's
what
the
I was...
best move.
Wow.
I was amazed at, because here the idea is that now this bishop cannot be moved at all. You cannot bring it in the game easily, and that was a great positional sacrifice by Vishy Anand.
Amazing, and we saw this mark there too. Well, you guys, when you do several blunders in chess, you usually like to have this poker face. I don't know if it's gonna save Aronian here to have his poker face. But Samai, what is your poker face when you blunder something?
I'm just smiling throughout the game because I don't even realize that I've made a blunder.
Until the queen is gone. Well, as a dear friend said, you know, the fewer pieces you have on the board, the less you have to worry about.
Yeah, I don't worry at all. And right now, this game is just over. Because the
is
knight
over.
has, a lot of squares to go to. The bishop has no squares to go to. Like Katie said, it's just a pawn.
Yeah.
The knight is going to come in from here, attack this pawn. So many things. The knight is like a free bird going here and there through this closed position, and this bishop is stuck forever. In fact, if you have to bring the bishop into the game, you have to exchange the rooks now. takes, and only then the bishop can come after like 4-5 moves. It's already a lot of time. I think by then Vishy will just gobble up a lot of more pawns.
Right. Shall we take this rook and then to play knight versus bishop, or shall we keep the rooks on the board? Maybe we can ask Master Wheeler to give us short answer with that, how to win easily.
I think both should be winning, and honestly, you probably trade the rooks. You could argue you can trade the rooks on a different square, because if you give a check right now, black most likely interposes with the rook anyway, which allows you to trade on a square which brings the black king sort of... The black king is one square further away from the center, which generally is useful for white. But I suspect both of those moves... Yeah, there we see Vishy giving that check. I think he will take once Levon plays rook to e7. The engine disagrees, but the engine doesn't disagree very sharply. Levon says, no, I'm not going to trade. This also looks very, very bad because, yeah, bringing that bishop back to life...
Have you seen Peter Anand's face? I think he just realized that it was way much better to trade the rooks. He had that face, like, oh man.
I don't think he's worried necessarily, because I think he's still very much in control. You can play... The knight needs to be in the game. Yeah, he will play this. Levon already attacked one of our only weak pawns, and you can play the knight really to any of the two good squares that you have, and if black takes that pawn, you have a very strong move with the knight to the e6 square. Maybe we can show this. Yeah, choose any squares to make. Both are good. c5 or g4, yeah, both I think are pretty decent. And if black takes, we can play knight e6 here, attack the pawn on g7, and if this isn't winning, I'll be honestly quite shocked. This looks winning for white.
Even the rook cannot defend this. This pawn cannot be defended at all, right? It's over. Master Swidler, can we quickly have your insights on this game right here?
Yeah.
That is between...
that is.
I wanted to go there myself, and I wanted to say that in general, this is looking stellar for Genghis Grandmasters, because Vishy is borderline winning. Andrei Yesipenko on the last board is at least better and potentially also close to winning. And this position looks extremely promising for white, because Wei Yi perhaps misplayed the opening a little bit and is now facing tremendous pressure everywhere. His pawn on e6 now, as you can see, is attacked by two of white's pawns, and you of course want to move it one square forward, but then his queen side, where he already castled, is quite weakened, and white can penetrate with the queen and create a lot of mating threats. And in fact, he doesn't even play that move. He plays the move b5 before, trying to distract Lanier from giving mate. But there still has to be a way to achieve a massive advantage here for white. I suspect it's probably a solvable position if you calculate cleanly. If we can bring up the analysis board, we can maybe even try figuring it out live on air.
Yeah.
Because I think queen a7 is still quite promising, despite the fact that this is now sort of sacrificing the knight on c3. If we play that move, you have to assume black takes the knight, because otherwise I don't really see what else are you doing. And I want to lift the rook to the d4 square.
Wow, just going for the king.
Yeah, yeah, that was clearly a mistake. As yeah, I did blunder queen c5. Fair enough. There were stronger options there. Maybe, yeah, other rook lifts are probably stronger, like rook d3 or rook e3. But it does look like, in particular, if you have some time to calculate, you feel instinctively that white should have a solution which should give him a very, very good position. And interestingly, this is maybe move 18-ish, I want to say, and Wei Yi is down to 1.5 minutes, and Lanier is down to less than 3 minutes, so they've been burning time getting here. So Lanier doesn't have the luxury of, you know, spending, I don't know, 5 minutes on finding the solution here. He has to find it quite quickly.
Right.
And I assume moves which are not a piece sacrifice are also quite good, but the temptation for him to just try and finish the game on the spot must be quite strong.
Yeah, you're right. It is actually move 17. And just a few moves before that, we saw, I think what we saw in the bigger screen was bishop d5. Can we go back to that?
Oh, look at that.
Double exclamation mark. I am yet to understand this move.
Wow.
Wow, this bishop can be taken by one. 2, 3
Three
pieces.
pieces. Wow. If you take it with a pawn, if you take this sacrifice, then white cannot take it back with a pawn and attack your bishop. And here the same ideas can happen. When you move away your bishop, another bishop is hanging. You
I
have
missed
two
that.
bishops to worry about.
Damn, what a
Nice.
powerful move. Bishop d5. And then
Nicely
bishop
spotted.
took, e takes b4, and this is the live position on the board. Knight e4. This
So
is a
knight
very
e4.
happening position. Guys, can we do a quick roundup of all the boards? If
We
you have the
should,
bird's eye
yeah.
view, let's see who is winning this matchup.
Who's
right
gonna
now.
win first? We can see the bars all the way up on 3 boards.
Yeah, the board number 1, the board number 3, board number 5, all looking in favor of white. Oh my god, this is just looking in favor of the Ganges Grandmasters.
It is. It is what a start of a day here. Samaya, which game would you like to pick up?
I would love to take a look into the game number 1 between Anand and Aronian. I want to see how Vishwanathan Anand converts this completely winning mid-game.
Yeah, and while we wait for the board, it's actually kind of crazy because obviously you have all the boards available for the players to look at right next to you. I mean, you just glance left or glance right, and you can see your teammates and how they're doing. And it makes me wonder if some of the players are doing that and whether it's affecting their game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it affects big time, and we have seen, especially on the icon boards and the junior boards, they are looking back to see what is happening. And this is a team competition. You need to know what is the live result. You need to know what's the situation, because you might need to make a draw. You might need to just fight for the win. You never want to lose, right?
Guys,
So, yeah,
Is
go
this
ahead.
the end game or is this the mid game? At what point do you say that now the end game has begun?
That's
That's
a
the best question
tricky
ever.
question.
Even
That's
I
so
don't know.
tricky.
Often I think it's like when the queens are exchanged, but you even have a queen ending that exists.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to tell. Ketty, maybe you're the most experienced.
I agree with that, Jesse. Like some
Yeah.
people count it as if the queens are off the board, then it's the end game. But then you have rest of the pieces on the board. How
Yeah.
is that end game? Or the other ways, all the pieces are off the board and only queens are on the board. And then is that an end
Yeah.
game because you have a queens on the board? This is end game because you have few pieces on the board. And I can say when the king is this active as white's king now on h4, this is definitely end game.
But guys, if you count the pieces, white is only a pawn up. Why is the engine favoring white so much? Maybe we can ask Master Swidler about this.
For sure.
Well, in this particular case, Anand's pieces are also more active. The black king is actually not quite safe, and the reason Levon made this slightly awkward move just now was that if the rook went active, it looked normal for black to try and activate his rook and try to attack, exactly as Samay is indicating. White would continue moving forward with the king would get to g5, and then the threat of even pushing h5, h6 using the pin along the 7th rank would become very, very strong. So Levon is trying to fight against that by keeping the rook on a square where it connects to the h6 square, making that into less of a threat. But once again, this feels like there might just be a concrete solution somehow. I don't see it just yet, but yeah, Vishy playing king g5 I think is a very good indication that he does see something that he quite likes after, although we see the heartless computer criticizing this move. It doesn't throw away all of the advantage, but I guess it doesn't give white as much as I and Vishy both hoped.
That's right. That's right.
Right now,
And-
this is a free pawn.
Maybe
he
that's the
took it.
reason, actually, because you're giving up the pawn, and we know
Yeah,
the
I'm
chess.
pretty sure Vishy thought he has some way to... there is a very standard mating setup you can go for. If you can put your knight on g6 and then try to get your rook to the back rank, it will be very difficult, in many cases just impossible with this setup for black to stop the rook getting to h8 and delivering checkmate. But Levon still has resources there to fight against that plan, so white clearly is still better, but yeah, it looks like Levon is doing his absolute utmost to stay in the game, and so far he is actually managing to create problems for Anand to convert.
Right.
Yeah, I was actually wondering, if not queen, rook to the back
There's no
rank.
queen here,
I'm
Jesse.
so sorry. like I said, it's easier when you don't have pieces on board. Anyway, so rook bit to the back rank first before this king takes.
Yeah, I think the point is black also gets the rook to the back rank on the other side
Yeah.
of the board and creates the idea of giving a check to the white king, which will disconnect the white king from the pawn on h5. and this seems to save black from mate. It might be the only way to save black from mate, but it does seem to be enough.
Guys, we have a result coming in from board 2. Richard Rappo and Yu Yangi. Game ended in a draw, so that's half. That score, which is basically they get 1-1 points. That's a draw. And meanwhile, all the other boards, guys, board 1, board 3, board 4, board 5, are favoring Ganges Grandmasters. They are really dominating this match, guys.
Indeed, indeed. And Samai, maybe we can very quickly go to the board 5 because this is something so unusual is happening and quite brutal position for black. And a trivia question to you both guys.
Yeah.
What's the name of this situation when you don't castle with the king, but you play king on e7 or king on e2?
Oh my gosh, I thought you were going to ask us to pronounce their last names. Thank God
I
that
think
didn't happen.
it's called a mouse slip.
Oh, look at this king being so active.
King of the hill.
Up with the bar.
Oh, it's going crazy.
Oh my God, Ganges Grandmasters is winning on this board as well. All the boards are now in favor of Ganges Grandmasters. What a dominating performance by the team, guys.
It is, and look at this one.
King went back.
Checks, and a final check will be checkmate for sure.
Oh, this is
And we
a
have a
mate.
hand
It's almost a
check.
mate,
This
right?
is, and the game is over.
It's a checkmate.
It is over.
And
Wow.
here we see first decisive result here
Yeah.
for Ganges Grandmasters.
That's
And
4-1, right?
Bella Kutnashvili.
yeah, for one.
Maybe we can have a
One.
look at the game between Dominguez and Wei. They have only 17 seconds each. They're playing on seconds. It's a complicated rook and bishop minor pieces end game. Maybe we can have a look on board number 3.
A bunch of islands there I saw too.
Master Swidler, what is going on in this match? Which board is the most exciting?
Yeah, it seems currently, if nothing dramatic happens in the last minutes of the match, Ganges Grandmaster should have this firmly in the bag with one win on board 5 already, and extremely good positions pretty much everywhere else. With Renier Dominguez in full control, it will take some time until the black position can be dismantled, but I would trust Lanier to have good technique here and to get the job done. Vishy is back to being completely winning on his board, or so this seems to me. Andrei Yesipenko is a pawn up in the rook ending. He was perhaps at some point closer to victory than he is right now, but he's definitely never going to lose that position. And the only position where it looks theoretically possible for Triveni Continental Kings to even win a game is the position in the game between Hoi Fan and Katerina Lagno. But even there, as you can see, the queens are coming off, and white is massively better. This might be the highest score a team playing the white pieces has achieved in the tournament. We have a record of 15 points. It's difficult to get to 15 with white because you only get 3 points for a win instead of 4. But they might get pretty close because they might win. I mean, theoretically, they could win every single game remaining.
True, that is true. And we can keep the eye on this board as both players have seconds on the clock. And still a lot of pieces are on the board.
It's so nail-biting, and you can't even see on their faces that they're like low on time. These poker faces are crazy, and often I get this on stream as well. You go down into seconds, everyone's like, you look so calm and chill, and usually I blame it on the music, but truly, when you've lost on time as many times as I have, it really doesn't matter anymore.
Talking about losing on time, Katie, what do you think about this position?
Thank you for reminding me every day. Thank you. Rest of my life, I think that's gonna be it.
One thing I want to say about this position, the position is clearly winning for white, but it's remarkable because if this goes sort of according to form, this will be the first game anybody wins against Wei Yi in this tournament. Wei Yi so far made 1 draw in 4 games and won the rest of his, and he was definitely one of the 2 stellar performers in the league. Pragnanda being the second one. They were on absolutely stellar form until this round. But Lenia seems to be firmly in control now. So yeah, this is an important result in that context as well.
Master Swidler, why is he going behind these pawns instead of just pushing this pawn to make it a
He
queen?
wants to first put the black pieces on passive squares because you don't want to continue dropping stuff. And yeah, rook d6 is sort of required, but now the black pieces are looking even sillier than they were a move ago. And now you can start pushing. You can definitely do want to push the H-pawn, as you indicated, forward, and he probably starts immediately with either the H-pawn or he repeats again. I guess he looked at the clock and saw he had 1 second and decided to make a move.
And he just made it. Guys, we
and
do
there
have
it
the
is.
result, right?
That's
That's
result
exactly-
on board number 4. Ho Yifan has won her game against Katrina Lagno. That means another 3 points for Ganges Grandmasters.
So,
That is-
yeah, that brings the score to 7-1. With
That's too much.
Vishy also winning against Levon, that would be 10-1. And if Linier wins, that's 13-1. So they could arguably get to 16 if Andrei Yesipenko also wins. He shouldn't, but stranger things have happened. And that would
Right.
actually set a new record.
And you guys, in the end of each match, we do have best player in open section and best player in the women's section. And now in Ganges Grandmasters team, it is going to be so difficult to define only one player who is the best player of the
That's
match
true.
because all of them had such a great games and very important wins.
Maybe then we can have the worst player award there.
I agree with
Oh,
that.
that reminds me of Wooden Mike from Idols. It's always the worst singer they invite back and they award them this like crazy wooden award. Yeah.
So maybe we can have a look at the final moments of the game between Vishy Anand and Levon Aronian. Maybe we can have that on screen. We would love to see that.
Love to see that too. Look at this king dominating so much. And we have information. The board 3 has been done as well. And guess who won there? It's so hard to get.
It's again Ganges Grandmasters.
I wonder if it
Dominguez
was a
has won that
time.
game, and it is again those friends. The score is 10-1 right now, completely dominating.
Wow.
Performance by Ganges Grandmasters, and here we have the icon board.
I don't think there's a chance to come back. I think this is the decisive game and result. Now after this, they're up too many points, even if Black manages to win on both boards.
Yeah.
Master Swidler, what is going
Yeah,
on?
and on the topic of players of the day and players of the match, our official streaming partner, Amazon Music, is giving away one Echo Show device for the male player of the series and the female player of the series. And there you can hopefully see the beautiful blue box of the Echo Show. So lots of prizes for the players here, and that should further incentivize people to continue crushing, and we are seeing that every day.
Can we get that too?
Yeah, can they have like commentator of the match as well? I think that would help a lot.
All right. Let's see how this game gonna end, you guys. It is so difficult to resign, to stop the clock and the game, because until the game is done, you still have it.
Guys, is this not a fork?
It is
It
a
is.
fork.
And that's all over, right? Because then you have only a rook versus a rook and 3 pawns versus 1 pawn. It's completely winning for white. I think it's going to be a handshake very soon, guys.
I agree with that. It's not gonna be a very long game. Although Vishanan has 2 minutes and 40 seconds, I think he likes his position. He wants to enjoy this position very much. He is calculating different options here. There are several checks. I think he is going to create some sort of mating net to mine.
Oh.
That's interesting. So that was a check. Knight f8.
I would not be surprised if he pushes the pawn h7 now.
Yeah.
And I want to do rook lift, rook g6, rook to g8. That is checkmate in 3 moves. And you can't stop me. Go ahead.
That was amazing calculation. I had to.
Another move is rook f7. No, we're gonna drop the pawn. We don't need to do that.
So, guys, look at the scoreboard, man. It's 1-1, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. This is winning. The last game is, I think, a draw. What a dominating performance.
By the way, your move just
Oh, this happened?
here. Yes.
Amazing. So now we can safely say that this game is going to Ganges Grandmasters. I mean, what a great performance by all the team members. And here are the final moments between the icons.
Vishanand, Levon Aronian, Levon is not happy at all.
He's not giving up this position at all.
I guess that was one way to remove the fork, right? Pinning the knight, making sure to keep as many pieces on the board as possible. Even though maybe it complicated things slightly, but not enough.
Would you agree, Master?
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to mention, we'll be talking more about this during the break, I guess, but For now, it's clear that Ganges Grandmasters will win this match, and they will win it with a high enough score to overtake the Alpine Kings at the top of the scoreboard. So we will have a new, but also the old leader in the tournament. They led until the previous round, then they will be leading again at the halfway stage. So there is a very exciting fight ahead, but after the stumble in the previous round, the GGs are back to their winning ways.
GGs
Yeah,
indeed.
I think they'll be equal on match points, actually. And if they do win 16-1, I believe they'll be 12 game points ahead. Because at the moment, the leader at the moment is the SG Alpine Warriors. So they're ahead 4 game points, and that would be the difference.
Guys, can we quickly have a look at the birthday boy?
Yeah.
The last board, board 6.
Boy.
What's happening there? I think this is a drawn endgame.
This is theoretical, sort of. It's the draw. I think he did a great job today, birthday boy, because he had a really tough position against Andrei Stepenko. Don't joke with against Andrei Stepenko. He's one of the toughest junior in the chess world, and I think Jonas did a great job to hold the position and even have more time on the clock.
Maybe Jonas leaned over and said, you know, Andre, it's my birthday. Please.
Gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if Andrei Stepenko is able to convert this, the match result remains the same. The Ganges Grandmasters have defeated the Triveni Continental Kings here. And I wonder, maybe we can ask Master Swidler, despite having 2 pawns in this endgame, why is it a draw?
This is a general rule of thumb when you talk about pawn-up endgames with 1 rook each and pawns on one side. They're generally drawn. They do require some work. Some of them are trickier than the others. And if the stronger side has all 4 pawns on one side against 3 for the other, those generally are quite tricky. And there are some famous cases of even players as great as Garry Kasparov losing them on occasion. But they do tend to be drawn, and this one wasn't particularly difficult. So yeah, Andre gives up trying and offers a draw. They are winning by a huge margin anyway, so he doesn't really need to push this too hard.
All right. This game is down as well. 1 in progress, and this is the icon game. We need to see what is happening on the first board.
The only board that remains is the icon board here. Levon Aronian not giving up this position. It looks completely lost. He's playing on seconds. Still, is there any hope, Katie?
Well, it's always a hope when you're still playing chess until you press the resign button. But it isn't, over the board because it's not happening. You have the handshake. But here, the plan of winning is very easy. You just need to make sure that your pieces are well protected. They protect each other. And then you can push the pawns forward. And those pawns are connected. They support each other.
This is over. 93.
Yeah,
all over.
I suppose, yeah, there was this little check.
Yeah.
And Levon is going to make Anand work for this win, I think.
Yeah, every time I think there's a fork, there is a middle check.
All right. I would enjoy this position to play against Aronian with white pieces.
Look at the king guarding the pawns to make it a queen.
Yeah. Oh wait, have they? No. Look the audience. They are waiting this game to end in any second. Anand is very comfortable. He also gained 1 extra minute on the clock, and all his pieces are now working on one plan. And this plan is to promote one of these pawns. What is the promotion in chess?
The promotion in chess.
Of the pawn.
Right. To obviously the pawn grows up into any piece it wants to be. If it wants to be a rook, which we earlier established could be a tall or a very short queen, because I got that wrong. Or a knight, or a bishop, or a queen.
Any piece.
Why would you make it a rook? I mean, if, like, I understand sometimes you might want a knight, but I mean, if you want a rook, a queen is anyway doing the rook's job, right? Why would you want a rook or a bishop?
Well, in some of the positions, Samai, this is actually a very good question. Queen takes control over more squares, also on diagonals, not only the files. And in some cases, you might find yourself or your opponent's king in stalemate. You take too much squares under the control and you stalemate your opponent's king, not checkmate it. So then it's going to be
Ah.
a draw. That's why we sometimes just prefer to have rook because it's the safest way.
That under promotion, and sometimes it's a flex. You're like, no matter which piece I promote to, I'm still gonna win.
Yeah, that's somehow showing to your opponent that you have to resign at some point now.
Was this a transmission?
I think maybe just b6 now, just pushing the pawn one more step closer to the
right.
Pawn on
destination.
c4 is hanging, guys. This
I
last move was a
see.
tricky move, but white's pawn on the sixth rank is way too pushed, and I don't think there's a way to stop this pawn.
He
I
takes
ended
the
up
pawn.
taking with the bishop. And now, if the pawn goes forward,
He's going out. He's going out.
it's thinking about it.
And
Oh, but what about this check?
you
what
just
about
take
this check?
this. You just take this. You just take it.
Just take
You
it.
take it.
And then you cover by your rook.
Oh, it's like folding a
Ah.
bridge,
Mm,
as I would say.
bridge, and a handshake.
There we
Just
have it,
happened.
guys. Vishy Anand defeating Levon Aronian. And with that, we have a score of 14-2 in favor of the Ganges Grandmasters. What a phenomenal performance. What a terrific performance. Katie and Jesse, I am just awestruck by the domination that Ganges Grandmasters have shown in this matchup.
This is amazing. Who would expect this to happen, guys? Like when we started this day, actually, we could not really predict this somehow to happen.
Yeah, and I was actually chatting to one of the managers, and they were like, it's incredible how well balanced the teams are.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And here we have actually, they are chatting so long and analyzing all the games. I wonder what they are really talking here.
There we have in the background Sir Praveen Lipse, who's the coach of the Ganges Grandmasters. Very happy with the team's performance today.
Yeah,
we have the
look at
audience members, we
this.
have kids, we have adults, we have all kinds of chess fans. There's a nice fan arena here where all the fans can gather and watch the matches. They can also play some matches. In fact, I was playing with some kids outside, and there is no bigger joy than beating a kid.
Oh
In
my
chess.
gosh.
In chess.
Oh my god.
In chess.
The way Samay just admitted that he's a bully. It's like, pick on someone your own size.
Wow. Well. Samai, this is incredible to see Vishanan in his best shape. Incredible.
Guys, that was a phenomenal performance, and now it's time for a short break before we have the guys in the studio giving you a nice analysis of everything that we saw in this matchup.
He knows his. But so far, this is a stellar performance.
What an exhilarating match that was. That's amazing. I mean, that's amazing. And what's more amazing is who I have in the studio with me. I have the CEO of the Global Chess League. Come on, guys. We got Samir Patik here and the 15th world champion, Vishwanathan Anand. Look at him on the screen there, guys. Woo. Hey, Samir. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Vishwanathan Anand, great job today.
Yeah, thanks. It was obviously a very nice game, but my team had put it, before I won, my team had put it beyond the thing. So.
They put it away for you. Absolutely. Of course, we're going to look at the results right now. Let's take a look at the results from this last match, guys. Put it up on the screen. There it is. It was crushing, 14-2. This is a family channel, okay? We got to get that off the screen there. Vishwanathan Anand crushing there. Richard Report with the only draw. Actually, at the bottom there, too, there was a draw with Andrei Yesipenko and the birthday boy, Jonas there. But crushing victory here for the GG. Good game. Ganges Grandmasters there, guys. Wow, that's amazing. Let's look at the results. Of course, the results table from that. And so let's get a question here, actually. I have a question for you, actually, Samir. What is the vision for the Global Chess League?
Well, the vision as defined was to take this game, brings fans to the center of it,
wow,
and take it all around the world.
Wow.
And I think we're right there. I think people are enjoying it. And you tell me, are you enjoying it as well?
I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. We all are loving it here. I mean, of course, we have 150 countries watching, right? And then it's in every household so far, what it looks like. Even the fans at home, you guys are loving it. We've seen all the feedback. And a question for you, Vishwanathan Anand here. Of course, what's it like with the nerves, of course, when having these playing these games? With the nerves, I know you kind of feel some nerves sometimes. How do you handle those?
You just grin and bear it. Nerves are a part of the game. In fact, they're an early warning sign. If you don't have nerves, there's probably something really terrible going to happen to you. So, but I mean, if you're panicking before the game, that's good because it means that you're, I don't know, peaking in some way. So you take it, but it's, I would prefer to be chilling on the beach, but you know, that tension, is part of the game. So.
Panic before the game. You hear that? I've never heard that one. 15th world champion right there. That's pretty good. That works for me, guys. Wow. Well, let's look at the points table now, guys. What does the points table say? The points table on the screen there. Wow. Look at the Ganges Grandmasters blowing everything out of the water. That's a 10-point lead so far. Of course, we have another match coming up, but that's looking really, really good there. We have the Alpine Warriors right after it, and we have the Mumba Masters as well. Trevinian Continental Kings, and then with Chingari Golf Titans and the Ballon Alaskan Knights. Wow, that's amazing. Anand here, very good stuff. Like, what's going on? How are you winning on every game you have is decisive there? What is the secret sauce right now for you?
Today was very, very good. Other days, the team gets it through, 2 wins versus 1 or something like that. But of course, today went incredibly well for us, and that's helpful at both points. But I thought we were quite unlucky that Alpine just passed us yesterday, though they had played an extra match, and now we'll see. But now we're tied back again, so.
Then they're back at the top, guys. They're back at the top. Samir, what is your favorite part of this event so far?
Favorite part is to see the fans.
Wow.
See the fans lining up, queuing up, wanting to come.
Yeah.
I'm getting texts saying, "Hey, we want to come. Do you have place for us?"
Of course.
Obviously, we'll make space if we don't have. But I think the best part is that the fans are loving it. They like the format. They're enjoying. While the point system is a bit new,
definitely.
But once they get hang of it, you see the excitement of conversation is now around, okay, how many points, board point, match point. So it gives a lot more for them to talk about.
Right.
For me, that's the best part of the league so far.
That's amazing right there. Of course, that actually is fun with that format too as well. 4 points. Well, if we get that in regular chess, 4 points with black, that's pretty nice there, of course. But we're going to take this time to look at some highlights from Anand in this last match. Wow. Okay. All right. Moves being played here, obviously.
I did not see his opening coming.
You didn't see this opening coming?
No, so I had to wing it a little bit.
Oh, you had to wing it a little. Yeah, you did a great job winging here. Of course, didn't look like you were phased there at all. Ravana running castling there. Okay. When did he make his first mistake there? What'd you think?
Actually, we'll get to it in a second or two. I'm sure they'll cover it. Yeah, he has just made a huge mistake. He pushed his pawn to h5, and that's just a blunder.
That was just a blunder.
Well, you can see it in his face, you can see it in mine. The point is, there's a fork. The queen goes to d5, attacks the rook on a8, attacks the rook on a8, and the rook on the bishop on h5.
Very good.
And after that, I almost tried to spoil it, but it was too big to spoil. I mean, there's a moment where when he's offering the exchange of rooks, where I just let him back into the game for nothing, and I wanted to hit myself, but luckily the advantage was big enough that I could still clinch it.
Absolutely, of course, it was all just completely winning over the entire game after the h5 there, which is pretty nice there. All right, so we're gonna go to a short break here, guys. We have Samir, we have Anand, we got more chess coming up for you guys, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a few minutes. We are back. Tech Mahindra Global Chess League. Look at the matchup. The next matchup is here. The Ballon Alaskan Knights versus the SG Alpine Warriors. Yes, we do have another matchup here. And the white pieces actually already go to the Ballon Alaskan Knights there. So, Ray, hey, what do you think about that matchup there, Samir? Ballon Alaskan Knights with white?
Well, it sounds interesting. And even I think it's going to impact the table again.
Okay.
Because you have one Ballon Alaskan Knights get an opportunity to go up.
Right.
But also the other team who wants to get back up to the top so badly.
That's
Knights. Right. They have a chance again to go back up top, start from the front. Let's see how it works.
This works. And now, what do you think about this matchup here?
Well, this is the tournament. I mean, like a news flash. The rest of the tournament, we are not going to find out our colors half an hour before the game. we know, and so that's like a separate tournament now.
Right.
Because this first phase it needed some adjustment because you only find out you're preparing, but you don't know white or black.
Right.
And now suddenly we might see a whole different change. You might see much more prepared ideas. And people going for the jugular. So it's the second half is quite radically different from the first in that sense.
Wow. Very good. Thank you for that. And Balan has white guys. Balan Alaska Knights have the white pieces. And with the black pieces, it's going to be SG Alpine Warriors. It's going to be a warrior matchup. We got handshakes here. They are ready to go. Balan Alaska Knights will play with the white pieces. All right, let's check out the order of play. Look at who is playing who. We're going to get that on the screen. I mean, look at that. He's grabbing it. I got black. You got white. Here we go. And on the screen, as you see it, Yana Pomniachi playing Magnus Carlsen back in Dubai again. That is reminiscent of many matchups they had. Norderbeck versus Gukesh there. And you have Timur Rajabov versus Arjun Erigaisi. That's a very strong matchup. All of them are. Tame Zanji versus Irina Crush. And then we have Nino versus Elizabeth Pates. And we have Ranak Sadwani versus Prag. All Indian matchup there, guys. Wow. That is amazing. Well, of course, thanks to our guests being here in the studio with us, guys. We're going to have matchups coming up. Thanks for being here, Samir. CEO, guys. Can we get some claps at home for the CEO of Global Chess League here? And claps for the 15th world champion, Anand, right here. Okay, guys, we're going to be back in a few minutes with the Global Chess League, and the games start very soon. Don't go anywhere.
Take about 40 seconds for the program.
We're back from Dubai for a big matchup as the Balan Alaska Knights take on the SG Alpine Warriors. The players are set. They're ready to go. We've seen them walk out. They've taken their place. this is a big match, especially for the Balan Alaskan Knights.
Absolutely. They're really not doing well so far, and it's a bit of a surprise. It looks like a very strong squad led by Jan Nepomniachtchi, as you can see there on your screen. Very strong women board, very good Indian junior on Prodigy. Hard to say what's not clicking for them so far, but it is not clicking.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think today is the time when they have to strike, but not the easiest team to strike against, because SG Alpine Warriors are right now on top of the table. They are at number 2nd position, and with Magnus Carlsen at the top, it's not going to be easy.
Not at all.
It never is, but we have seen the world number 1, Magnus Carlsen, lose a match here at the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League. It was yesterday to Maxime Vacher-Lagrave, and we see him head in hand there. He starts with the black pieces. These two teams have faced each other in the first round of the league, and it was the SG Alpine Warriors that took the win.
And if you remember, it was a very, very big blunder by Nordirbek at the end, which actually led to the Alpine Warriors winning. Because otherwise, the Balan Alaskan Knights would have won it. I think, Peter, today they would be looking for vengeance.
Absolutely, and they need the win. They otherwise we're running the risk of the top 2 teams in the league running away with the show.
Right, absolutely. And there you have Magnus Carlsen really focused. It feels from his expressions that he wants to win today, especially after losing his game to MVL yesterday. But apart from this matchup, this game, Nepo, Magnus, which are the other ones you are excited for?
We'll get to that. I just want to say one thing. I think for Magnus, it's not just about winning today. He wants to win the whole thing. He's here to get the championship. Magnus feels strongly about the team, and we've got the Sicil for the kill.
Yeah, and Jan does a thing that every Sicilian player absolutely hates. He goes for the Alapin, and Magnus, he did not change posture too much, but he did kind of deflate a little bit upon seeing this move, because this move generally is the no fun move against the Sicilian. It doesn't let you do what you want to do when you generally choose that opening.
Although Magnus's response here is not the most popular way to play against the C3 Sicilian, and I think he's just trying to take Jan out of theory.
In as much as possible, yes. And Magnus generally, I think, very much likes these early advances with the pawns on e5 and c5. He does that in a lot of openings, and does it here as well. It is not the prescribed way, quote unquote, to meet the Alapin, but Magnus clearly has put some thought into it.
Now, these two have also played a World Championship match together, and that was in 2021 in Dubai. And in that match, we didn't see Jan Nepomniachtchi play the Alapin. It's definitely a big surprise for Magnus, an early opening surprise for the SG Alpine Warriors. And Sagar, this is a team competition. It's a team championship. It's not just the icon board. Every board matters.
Absolutely. It's a it's very clear that the match is evenly balanced, because on board number 2, you have Abdu Sataro versus Gukesh. And these two have been like epic rivals now, both just 17 and 18 years old, but already some amazing games they have played against each other.
And that's a big board to point out, because for Abdu Satrov, he drew the first time they played in this event. Now, Gukesh has been struggling with form. He mentioned that in the interview as well, that when we had him in the studio. I think this is the board that Balan Alaskan Knights want to capitalize on, Peter.
I think that's an easy target. It sounds very strange to call Gukesh a target. He is unbelievably strong, and 2023 has been a very good year for him, but he has not been himself here, and I'm pretty sure Nordirbek will be very, very interested.
Let's bring up our bird's eye view and quickly go over to that board number 2. Let's zoom out and take a look at the action all along. This is the opening phase of the match between these two teams. The SG Alpine Warriors, good on their path to make it to the grand finals. The Balan Alaskan Knights currently struggling.
Absolutely. And maybe we can go to board number 2. Yes, that's where I wanted to go to. Gukesh has the black pieces here. Nordirbek with white. It seemed like a Karo Khan opening.
Let's take it from the top and see how we got here, because this is not a standard opening position. We already see that black spawn is down the board on the H line, white spawn as well. It looks like a non-standard position, and let's do a quick action replay here. Peter, take us through the opening.
Yeah, this is the Caracan, and Nordicbeck approach to the Caracan here is something that is quite fashionable these days. Instead of developing his pawns, he develops both the knights first, and yeah, that's actually if that was during this via this move order, it's even more fashionable. That's something that did not, I think, even exist maybe 3 years ago. This particular approach, but then we switched to more familiar territory. White gains an advantage of a pair of bishops very, very early on, but the position so far is quite closed, so the bishops don't have...
Peter, what is this move?
It's the the influence of computers on modern chess cannot be overstated. It does seem like this move pops up in every single position these days.
And White saying, I don't want to be left behind. You're going to push your H-pawn. I'm pushing it as well, Sagar.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the main thing about these youngsters is that you give them the most bland food out there, they will add their spices and make it interesting. This one is going generally would lead to a very stable, solid game. But I think here, Gukesh and Nordicbeck are going to make it exciting.
It's already very exciting. Every pawn move has its own set of consequences. With that last move by Nordicbeck, we see that this square has been weakened. It's not guarded by the pawn anymore. And immediately Gukesh plans to get more of a stronghold there, develops his knight, controlling that square. The queen falls back. More development with the pieces. And the big question, is Black's king going to find safety on the left side of the board or on the right side?
If Black has to choose immediately, I suspect the king goes to the left, because having played h5, castling to the right side of the board looks very risky. But I do want to say that generally the icon boards in this tournament, outside of Anand's games, were quite relaxed. Maybe is not the right word, but not as exciting. But Nepo against Magnus is just on fire by move 7.
Oof.
And we should perhaps return to that for a bit.
Let's do it. We're going to bring up bird's eye view. Let's quickly point out there is a big threat on the board that we just left, but we will come back to it because it is all eyes on this. Sagar, completely crazy position out of hand.
You know, when we were leaving this board, if we could just go to the move number 3. Yeah, if after he played bishop c4, bishop out there, and then knight came out. My first question was, what if the knight went that side to attack that weak pawn? And it's like very common in the Italian, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 knights. And he did play it. Wow, okay. Now you need to push the pawn to block it.
It happened.
Yes.
You've got to stop the bishop from attacking it. And then there were more trades in the center.
And now can we not take that pawn, like just like how we do in the fried liver attack?
Yeah, this looks remarkably similar to the fried liver, but the difference is White played the c-pawn 1 move forward, which actually makes it much harder for the white knight, not the one that is still in the starting position, to join the attack, because that pawn occupies the square that the knight will be going to. Which is why Jan goes for another thing that is actually quite strong in the fried liver as well.
Let's quickly show this line, which would have been so strong. It's an amazing opening idea that Sagar is pointing out. Give that knight. You want that king to come out in the center. And now you give a huge check with the queen. It's not just a check, but it hits the knight in the center of the board. But the difference here, as Peter was pointing out, is that the black king can actually march up, defend this knight, cannot be recaptured. And notice this pawn, a move that was made on the second move, takes the big square from the knight joining the party. This would have been game over. Great call there by Sagar, and a great difference spotted by Peter.
And yeah, instead, Jan continues blowing up things in the center, and now makes a queen move, attacking the black knight. Yeah, you have to assume Magnus knows exactly what's going on here, because if you don't, this could spell absolute disaster. This is a kind of a position where one mistake generally just ends the game, and it looks extremely dangerous for black.
But Peter, why is Magnus thinking? If he would be knowing this, he wouldn't be thinking, right?
I don't think he does. Because he would have blitzed out his move. And this is big trouble. Let's just show the ideas that exist in this position. Again, it all comes down to this pawn. If White can get to this pawn, it's game over. And that's exactly what Jan Nepomniachtchi is trying to do with the last move. Attacking that knight. You move anywhere on the board. You lose on the spot. White can pick this pawn up. With the bishop can pick up the pawn with the knight. And you completely win. Magnus Carlsen in a big think of this move. Peter, he can't move the knight anywhere. The only way is to perhaps build support on the knight.
There are two options here available to Magnus as I see it. You can defend the knight, and the only real way to defend it is with your light square bishop. But that gives up the pawn that the bishop was just protecting. So white, if all else fails, white could just recapture on b7, restore the material balance, and continue attacking. So that looks nice for white. And the other option would be, instead of that, you could try attacking the white knight and play something like bishop to, that move, or perhaps one of your pawns could attack that knight. But that move in particular looks like it's at least an idea. And I think this is what Magnus is choosing from. My biggest question is, once again, how is that move not been, one of those moves, not been played onto the board yet? Because that was clearly something he prepared. The Alapin can be met in a ton of different ways, and the option to go for this extremely risky line was all Magnus's.
I think what happens generally is that it happens in exams as well, right? We learn answer, and then when the question actually comes, we are like, oh, I just forgot, you know, like
you can't remember anything.
I mean, I know the first couple of lines, but then I'm like, I just forget, was it this, was it that? And I think that's what's happening with Magnus.
And look at both the players on the screen. Jan Nepomniachtchi, confident look. He knows he's got Magnus in the opening. Magnus with a big think there, looking uncertain, and this is a critical moment.
Look at him. He's just sort of, you know, with his finger. He's worried. His face looks like a man who's worried. Peter, you faced Magnus many times. What do you make of his face right now? Do you think he's worried, or he's just thinking?
Yeah, I think he's not extremely happy with how things are progressing, but mainly I think he's deep in thought, because if he doesn't remember, he needs to work it out, and eventually he just kind of shrugs and does something.
Plays his bishop.
And Jan continues to blitz out, putting more pressure.
Oh my god, Jan in his prep.
Looks like that, not only in his prep, up a pawn currently.
He won that pawn back, so...
yeah, it's equal pawns. No, actually it's pawn down, right?
No, it's I'm pretty sure it's equal pawns right now.
Equal pawns, sorry.
But look at this pawn structure. It might mathematically be equal, but this looks like a very troubled position for Magnus Carlsen. King in center, potential pins down the diagonal. Magnus needs to be super careful to not lose in the next 10 moves.
Absolutely. Alternatively, you will say that if black manages, let's say, to develop that bishop to a good square, c5 perhaps looks like the best square you could be aiming for, and then castle, his position is not that bad, because he has a lot of presence in the center. White currently has none. And if he manages to survive, as you said, the next 5 to 10 moves, he might be okay.
Sagar, he's going for a queen trade. Yeah. Should we take this moment to take a look at some of the other boards, as the action is on all 6 boards? And we have been discussing the players. Now, the one player who's been a hero of the SG Alpine Warriors is that Prodigy board. Ronak versus Pragnananda. Pragnananda has scored 4.5 points out of 5 games.
Yeah, he's been unstoppable, and he's facing Ronak. And if we remember the last time they played, the game was going to end in a draw, and then Prag sort of trapped Raunak's rook. And let's see what's happening today. I think Prag has a very nice position out of the opening.
I'm not so sure. It's somewhat undefined, because White does achieve some progress on the king side. The knight Prag has out there will be chased away by the h-pawn, and you have to wonder where the black king is supposed to go, because perhaps if you castle to the right side of the board, you might come under some attack. But black definitely has his own trumps. The semi-open c-file is a very nice place for a rook, and there will be definite play for Prag as well.
Right.
And with that last move, there is a threat on the board. If black was to be a little careless right now, and let's say make a move on the queen side, then Sagar, white can continue the avalanche on the king side, hitting that knight, forcing you to fall back. And now there's the option to simply grab a very important pawn, attacking the rook. So the move that was just played by Ronak, Prag needs to be a little careful and stop white from advancing further.
Absolutely. I think currently Ronak has the slight initiative here, and Prag has to be very careful. At the same time, I was in the dugout before the game and I saw Raunak listening to music. And I think that's his way of sort of pumping himself up before the round. And he looked in a very calm mood. So right now also he looks very, very comfortable in this position.
And that's what's required. He needs to stay calm and composed to get the point in against the player who's been on his A form in this league. Now for Prague as well. Talking about a good mood, the SG Alpine Warriors had quite a night out. We saw some social media posts there, photos of them having a good time on the yacht.
Yeah, they have been like doing things so differently. Like they had Yuzi here, then they went to the yacht party. I have heard that they are going for skydiving. I have heard Magnus wants to go and play football. It's like their team is doing so many things in this league.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle of that sentence, I got slightly worried because I thought you were going to say Magnus wants to go skydiving, and I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, but I still would suggest maybe he think twice.
Well, the youngsters are going.
That's why they're youngsters, yes.
Well, the one youngster who has been doing really well is playing with the black pieces in the front of our screen, but he has gone into a think, and look at that. We were pointing out a threat that pushes the knight away. Instead, what Prague does, also notice that complete focus on him. He voluntarily retreats the knight. And Peter, you have to explain this move because to me, it looks like black is losing a pawn.
Black will lose a pawn, but it will be... Black will lose 2 pawns for 1. If you take that pawn with white now, and Raunak has already not taken it, but there's a very solid reason not to take it. If you take, I attack your queen with the rook. You have to take a second one, and then the rook can actually take the pawn in front of it, using the pin on the f2 pawn. And that actually, considering the fact that the white king is very stuck on the king side, and the black king will very safely go to the other side of the board, this does more harm to white than it does to black.
Fantastic line.
And Raunak clearly agrees with this assessment and very quickly ignores that poison pawn.
Right. So Prague has actually solved the problem of that attack there for the time being, and it looks like this game will build up. Maybe it's time for us to go to another board. Maybe the third one, Rajabov versus Arjun, because last time it was Rajabov who had beaten Arjun.
That was a brilliant game and one of the finishes of the tournament so far, I would say. And interestingly, 2 of the finishes that really come to mind in the first half of the tournament both feature the black player winning by sacrificing something on the G2 square. And one of those games was Arjun against Rajabov with a very beautiful queen sacrifice, which ended the game on the spot. And the other one is Raunak against Jonas Bier. Today, for the second match running, I have to wonder if there is some team prep going on, because you see there on screen Arjun playing the Stonewall system, which is, I think, just looking at your screen will explain to you why it's called that. You build this wall, and you feel very proud about it. Your pieces are slightly stuck behind it, which is why not everybody really loves this structure, but it's very solid, as the name implies. And the same structure is on the board, on board 4. We'll come to that, but I just wanted to point out that there is some
team prep probably.
Or at least some synergies, because I think it may have been a different opening, but they look very similar right now.
Because we also remember once Gukesh also took the same structure against Yu Yangi, right? So this seems like something that they all sat down with perhaps Magnus and said, okay, let's work on the Stonewall.
And Magnus actually is one of the people at the very, very top who does play Stonewall more than perhaps anybody else, so it wouldn't shock me.
Right, right. Peter, if you were a youngster, like let's say Arjun, Prague and Gukesh here, and you had the world champion in your team and in this league, what would it mean? Like, how much could you gain out of this entire 12 days?
I think it's an unbelievable experience for the kids, because knowing Magnus, they will be talking chess non-stop, and they probably are playing Blitz in the evenings, and just, you know, any kind of, even a casual conversation about chess with Magnus will teach you so much, because he is, well, you run out of superlatives, and the way he thinks about the game is really unlike any other, and yeah, it's a fantastic learning experience for these guys.
But this is also such a story of when your idols become your rivals. Because we've seen Arjun, Gukesh, Prague also fight and compete against Magnus now. They want to win those games. They've of course inspired by him, but at the same time, in different tournaments, they're rivals now.
Yes. So idols becomes rivals, rivals become friends now. They are in the same team.
Incredible to watch. And this is such a complex position because not a single piece or a single pawn has been traded off the board. So very often in these fights, when we see these positions out of the openings, the opponents are saying, you know what, we want a rich middle game. We want to play a long battle here.
Right. And also, I'm seeing Rajabov taking a lot of time in his games to look at the screen where the games of his teammates are. And I think that's the thing about some players in team tournaments. They like to keep seeing the games of the other teammates, while some just focus on their own game.
Yeah, I think I would be very much in Timur's camp here because when I play, even in rapid games, I tend to get up and walk around and take a look at what's going on. And even in games completely unrelated to mine, and these are very related to my games because these are my teammates fighting in the same match. So I think I would be constantly staring at that screen, to the detriment to my play, but what to do.
But I think that's the cool part, right? In a team championship, you have to also work as a team. You've got to look at the other boards, take decisions accordingly. Very often, it was Michael Jordan who said that talent wins games, teamwork wins championships. So we've seen the players always watch out for the games of their compatriots, their teammates. The one thing that is surprising to me is that, you've got this incredible team in the Balin Alaskan Knights. Nodabek Abdusatrov, Yana Pomdashi, Tamur Rajabov. And the fact that they're struggling currently at the bottom of the leaderboard, it just shows the strength of this league.
Right.
Absolutely.
And also their game points are not so bad. So, I mean, it's just a question of them scoring a few match victories and they would be back at the top. So if today they win, that would be a huge boost to their campaign. So right now, if we could have all the 6 boards and maybe give a small roundup as to who looks in front right now, that would be interesting, right?
Let's do it. Let's do some evaluations all across, starting from that top left board of the icon. Sagar, what do you think of that one?
I think that game, Magnus is a pawn down currently. Sorry, Nepo is a pawn down currently. Magnus is a pawn up, but Nepo has the 2 bishops. So I'm calling that to be a draw. I guess he will get back his pawn and then there won't be too much material left.
No disagreement here.
Sagar and Peter on board with that the board one will most probably end in a draw. What do you guys think about Nodabek versus Gukesh?
My initial assessment was black is fine, but I see the evaluation bar disagreeing with me quite violently there, so I probably have to rethink that. The bishop pair is, I'm one of the biggest fans of the bishop pair in history, but here it looked to me at first glance that it's not that bad, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, so maybe small edge to Abdusatarov there, right?
For the Balin Alaskan Knights, a good board so far. And what about Rajabov Arjun? I think this is pretty complex to call. You can disregard the eval bar for so many pieces on the board. And Tanzongi versus Crush. It says it's even, but the position is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it's a very messy position because you see her in a crush there going all out, trying to create something against Tanzongi's king. She currently doesn't really have enough pieces to launch a proper attack, but it might change at any moment. The game we haven't spoken about yet at all is the game between Nina Basashvili and Elizabeth Bates, and that is a very messy position that is hard to assess. Once again, the bar says it's around equal, but it's one of those around equal positions which could just as well be much better for white or much better for black. It's very hard to judge.
Well, I think that's the board that catches our attention. Look at that knight planted in white's camp. Let's rush over to board number 5. Nino Batsashvili for the Balin Alaskan Knights against Elizabeth Pats. And there we have both with the same pose, head and hands there. Extremely critical moment. Down to under 7 minutes on the clock, and the game is just getting started.
Right. This is going to be a very, very interesting game, especially with the knight sitting there. If we can get rid of that knight, I think white would be doing really well.
Oh,
here.
yeah. That would be... white has a better structure. White has more attacking potential on the king side, because I think black eventually has to castle king side. But yeah, how do you get rid of that knight?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
We could move our knight back there and try to get rid of it, right?
Yeah, That probably ends up being what we do. But just trading it, I was kind of really hoping I can find a way to actually win the pawn that is supporting it currently and just restore the material balance and remove the knight that way. But I'm struggling to actually come up with an idea that does that efficiently.
For the time being, black is a pawn up, so that is something to for that weak structure. So overall, do we say that currently Balan Alaskan Knights is slightly ahead in this match?
It does look that way. We've gone across the boards and it feels that white is the one who is currently pushing on the board. But this one, of course, anything can happen. Right now, the last move that has been played, Bishop's offering trade. I like Sagar's idea of falling back with the knight, trying to get rid of this very strong piece that black has. Now, the one board that we haven't looked at is a key player for the SG Alpine Warriors. It's the Prodigy board, Pragnananda, with a solid 4.5 out of 5, undefeated in the tournament so far. Let's bring up our bird's eye view as things start to heat up. And look at that, a move just been played.
Yeah, solid is one way to describe 4.5 out of 5, I will say. Yeah, Prague, the absolute top performer so far. I think 4.5 out of 5 in chess vernacular is called +4 because you've won four more games than you've lost. And he's on +4, and the next best player in the league is on +2. And that's Vishy Anand and Wei Yi, who used to be on +3 but lost in the previous match. I like what Prague is doing here. White managed to get the knight that was somewhat misplaced to the best square on the board, arguably, that square where it cannot be challenged by opponent spawns. But Prague restructured his position to immediately attack that knight and not let it just be parked there forever.
Right. And also, I think in the battle between Raunak and Prague, Prague has a psychological edge. Not only did he beat him here, but also they played at the Sharjah Masters recently, and Prague beat him there as well. So I think Raunak needs to get a win in against Prague to feel a little better about his chances.
That was my impression as well. I'm sure there's a bunch of games within them in junior tournaments and also probably hundreds of games online. Knowing these guys, they probably played an unbelievable volume of games against each other online. But over the board, I would say Prague definitely holds some kind of a psychological edge.
Wow, and Prague there falling close to the 4-minute mark. Is it fair to say that for the Balan and Alaskan Knights, this is a must-win match?
For sure.
I think so, yes.
Yes, very important. I think if they lose this one, they go right at the bottom of the table, and it would be very difficult to make a comeback. I guess it would be almost impossible to finish in top 2. But if they win today, then it becomes very realistic.
And also the entire tournament thanks them because that juggernaut needs to be stopped for the tournament to become exciting and in terms of who qualifies for the grand final. The tournament is always going to be exciting, but so far it's been a bit of a two-horse race, and we definitely want more horses in there.
Right. So what you're saying, Peter, is that right now, if everything goes like this, it would be the SG Alpine Warriors versus the Ganges Grandmasters.
They do seem like the two best teams at the halfway mark. Things could definitely change, but I think any other conclusion after the 5 rounds would just be strange, right?
There's also the Upgrad Mumba Masters in the mix.
not
you
to forget them.
Never sleep on them. It's the one team where on the top board they did take down Magnus Carlsen, but of course right now it's all eyes on the Knights. You mentioned you want more horses in the race. The Knights need to become a horse right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so this one is looking quite even for the time being. Should we quickly go and check the board of which one? Board number 4, Irina Crush.
Oof, let's get our bird's eye view up because we're seeing pawn storms down the board, and there we've got Kan Zongi against Irina Crush. The last time the two played, Irina Crush was the winner of that game.
That was a hugely important victory for the Alpine Warriors because at that moment it looked like they were going to lose the match, and then suddenly Prague won that seemingly very level endgame against Raunak, and Irina Crush also won the endgame. I was pretty sure she was not going to win. So yeah, it's an important possibility for revenge here for Kan Zhongyi.
You know, somehow black's pawns are beautifully positioned, but in a way, it's only white who can kind of open up the queen side. So wouldn't that mean that Tan Zhongyi holds all the cards in her hands right now?
I would assume so. It's very difficult to imagine how Black opens this up without harming her position first and foremost. The only pawn break really available to Irina here is the move e6, e5, which I think will probably cost her the game pretty much immediately. I think the amount of preparation she needs to do to make that move playable is such that it will never really even be entertained.
And that's a very good-looking pawn structure that Black has. The only thing that Irina is dreaming of right now is if this queen can somehow arrive on this square. This is checkmate. The problem in Black's position as we have it is that path is unavailable, stopped by her own pawn. The move that Crush wants to make right now is pick up this pawn and throw it out of the board so that that square is available for the queen to land. If Black manages to get that, it would be game over. But right now, we see there's no space for the pieces to join the attack.
Perhaps this move will become available in the next patch, but for now, it's not legal.
She moves her bishop, and Tan Zhongyi seems to have heard you, Tanya. She just went back with her bishop and like, just in case Irina throws her pawn away, I'll save it.
This queen is never landing here as long as White has a light square bishop, which also makes a very instructive point that this is a piece that White wants throughout the game.
But I love how Tan Zhongyi is sort of maneuvering her pieces. The knight is going to the center. The pawn will take the pawn at the right time. The rooks will open up. I think Irina is in big trouble here.
The big question here is how do we win this with White? I'm pretty sure it's pretty much a two result position because Black really can only wait. But the Black structure is very, very solid, and finding a way in is, I think, the biggest issue that Tan Zhongyi will be faced with for the rest of the game. Eventually, maybe the C file finally does get opened, and we do something along that avenue, but I'm not entirely sure how we win.
Peter, do you think that that little pawn push, the F pawn moving ahead at the right time might also become an idea?
If you prepare it well, yes. I think definitely behind enough preparation, it could just blow up the entire structure. So yeah, I like this very much.
Oh, she takes.
Yeah, that's a solution that I was looking at, immediately opening the C file, and now the knight could go to that square where it delivers what is called a family fork. If you put the knight on c6 here, it attacks not 2 but 3 of Black's heavy pieces, which means that it will have to be taken by the bishop standing there on e8, giving White potentially a very, very strong passer if White recaptures with the pawn.
Wow.
But then the position becomes very closed again, and I don't know if we win.
You know what, Peter? You were saying, what does Tan Zhongyi need to do to win here? But it's so much more difficult for Irina Crush to defend this position because look at her clock. She's down to under 30 seconds.
I just noticed, yeah, that makes defense in a position like this
nearly impossible.
Borderline impossible, yeah. Although I'm not in love with the decision by Tan Zhongyi to actually give Irina concrete questions to answer, because I think she could have improved her position without committing to anything for some time yet, keeping Irina guessing. And what you really hate doing when you're on half a minute in a position as unpleasant as this is keep on guessing as to exactly where your opponent is going to launch an attack. Now at least she knows what she's faced with.
Threat is stronger than execution, goes the old saying, and here she executed the move. Not great.
This will be close to a miracle, Sagar, if Irina Crush manages to hold this. It's a difficult position, just 30 seconds on the clock. This looks like a tough board for the SG Alpine Warriors. Should we take this moment to zoom out?
Yes.
Get our bird's eye view. Where does...
I want to go to the icon board. Can we go there? Because it seems like Magnus is slowly turning on the heat.
Yeah, Magnus is trying to get something out of this. As Tanya correctly said, perhaps it was you, Sagar, that despite being a pawn down, the fact that Jan has the bishop pair gives him very, very good drawing chances here. He is not really that much worse. But if anyone can create problems here for Jan, it is Magnus, and he's doing his utmost to create something, get something going here.
Wow, this a pawn, Tanya, does look very scary, right? Or do you think it's okay? Oh, check to the king. If you go downward, there could be a mating net.
I can't take your knight, unfortunately, because the rook does pin the king. And as you're pointing out that the move king g1 would be a big
Not yet.
blunder. Not yet.
Not
because
yet.
the bishop. Only if this could be a mate, and it almost is. But fortunately for White, the bishop does guard the rook.
Yeah, I thought the king absolutely has to go forward, but perhaps there's some intricacies. Because the most natural move in the world appears to be just
king forward,
moving the king forward, attacking that knight with both the king and pawn, because the pawn will get unpinned. But Magnus clearly has something in mind there. Perhaps he wants to attack both. Like there's a skewer available to black from the c2 square. The rook can attack.
Ooh, he can attack
both bishops. I don't. I would like to see what Magnus does after, if that is the move Jan chooses. He could also go. That's the move he chooses.
But these little calculations is what Magnus excels in. These little things where the position is equal, and then he calculates, and then he just tricks his opponent. Will he manage to do that today?
Very tense situation.
We'll see.
Magnus up a pawn right now, but Jan Nepomniachtchi has got the activity of the pieces, the rook pinning the bishop. There are threats of the white bishop capturing the pawn, deflecting the king. Wow, what a move by Magnus.
What a move.
He ignores his knight, but attacks a key piece in white's camp.
Wow. Wow.
I was wondering about this.
And check this out. Big trick on the board. My first feeling was, can't white just take this pawn? And the idea is that if you capture with the king, I get your bishop back, thank you very much. But here, black has a brilliant intermezzo. You step back with the knight, you give a huge check to the king, and you end up picking up the bishop with the knight, supporting your pieces, and this would be winning on the spot. This tactic is unavailable to Jan Nepomniachtchi. He falls back with the bishop instead.
Yeah, and then the rook still attacks the bishop, and the trade finally does happen. Those light pieces come off the minor pieces come off the board, and Jan says, "I don't really care about my pawn on the king's side. I do want to pick up your outside passer," and goes with the rook after it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
in the meantime, elsewhere there's a lot of developments.
Board number 5.
We've got to rush over to our bird's eye view and head over to some of the other boards. This one, the experts are predicting will end peacefully. And there we have it. Sagar, you mentioned a board where I see black doesn't have a queen.
Wow. Let's go to the Batsiashvili Pates board number 5. It seems like Balan Alaskan Knights are going to get their first point over here.
Just 2 knights, 2 minor pieces, Peter, for a queen.
Black has some passers in the center, and you still have to take some care here. It's not... what I'm going to say is, I can see why Black isn't resigning yet. But that's about as good as I can describe Black's situation here.
You really need to wear very strong glasses and lenses to see that right now.
Yeah.
I think one of the big reasons is because it's a team championship. You want to play till that last hope. And you mentioned that it's maybe not completely over because Black has these central pawns. But Peter, White's got to be winning here.
I'm sure White is winning. And one thing I like to do here is just to immediately offer a rook trade. We can play rook e1 here. She goes queen c2. I'm not against this either. It's difficult to name a move that would be a very bad mistake here. But I thought once we get the rooks off the board, Black's counterplay just fizzles, and the queen is just going to be much stronger than the 2 lone knights. As for Black, you just have to start pushing. You have to go d4, d3 here, and start pretending you have a massive amount of counterplay, and perhaps the white player just scares herself.
Push and pray.
Yeah.
Push and pray.
Push and pray is what Pates needs to do. But here, Balan Alaskan Knights in control. And also on board number 2, if we go to Gukesh versus Nadirbek up to Satarov, it seems like Gukesh is going to slump to his 4th loss in this tournament.
Yeah, something quite dramatic happened there, because it looked like the evaluation wasn't really all that bad for Gukesh, but he missed that one final move played just now, and suddenly it turns out that there's no good defense against a massive threat of the rook going up the board, attacking the black bishop, removing the
oh my goodness,
that bishop from that very good blockading square, and then the d-pawn will continue running. There's just no defense, because the king will not be able to support that bishop because it gets checked by the light square bishop on the d7 square.
Yeah, I mean,
it was lost.
I think if the rook moves in, it's gone, right? How do you stop that?
You can't. You can't. Yeah, it's just gone. I think Gukesh. If we go 3 moves back, that was the point where perhaps he had a better choice, but he opened that line himself. He had a pawn on the c-file.
Let's show that really quickly. This is the point that you're talking about, where Gukesh does have a pawn, keeping his king safe.
Yeah, and what Nodibek played here is very strong, but Gukesh's reply, I assume he just misevaluated what came out. Yeah, and
it's got a question mark.
And now he thought he will have time to reorganize his pieces, but that rook move that Nodibek just played must have come as a surprise.
That's
and
awesome.
I just don't see how we survive from here.
Because Gukesh was probably just expecting Nodibek to simply recapture the pawn. Take the pawn back. You've given a pawn, take it back. But instead, Nodibek takes a pause and makes a super strong move on the board. Gets awarded an exclamation mark. And Black trying to activate his own rook into the game. The idea that Sagar, you and Peter were discussing is on the board, hitting the bishop. The rook gets activated. Where do you move? If you go back here, then white pawn just goes forward. You pin and you win.
Yeah, the one line that you have to calculate here in the current position, if Black gives a check, we have to take the pawn
on the board.
Yeah, we have to take the pawn in front of the king.
This happened.
This already is on the board. We give another check. The king continues going forward. And here you would like to take the pawn with the rook, attacking both of white's bishops. But unfortunately, it runs into a check from the h3 square.
Oof.
And then the bishop on d6 falls, and white ends up being just a full piece up. So yeah, it looks just straight up loss for Gukesh.
He
took it. He took it. But the way he took it, it just showed that he doesn't believe in that move.
No, yeah, he knows he's busted here, but there's just no good moves. No good moves in a lost position.
Wow.
You just call this. You just call this line. White gives a check and picks up the bishop on the next move, defending his own bishop.
Guys.
Yeah, in the meantime, Magnus is winning. Yeah, looks like Magnus is winning.
Let's quickly, shall we go there?
Let's take a quick look. This one, it feels like Nodibek Abdusatrov is taking it. Meanwhile, icon board, huge turnaround.
Magnus is saying like, guys, I am not going to draw this endgame, even if it's opposite colored bishop. He's actually weaving a mating net, or what?
Both a mating net is possible, and also simply the pawn on the dark square for white is about to fall off, and then black will have two connected passers on the king side, which generally tends to be decisive in positions like this.
Wow.
This endgame has gone downhill very, very quickly for Jan.
We're getting a big update that the game between Nino Batsashvili and Elizabeth Pats is over, and it is the Balan Alaskan Knights who take the point on that board.
So 3-0 for Balan Alaskan Knights with Nodirbek winning. That would make it 6-0. But if Magnus wins, it would be 6-4. Where's the next point coming for SG Alpine Warriors?
That's a big question. Well, Nodirbek, Abdusatrov with a crushing attack there.
Yes. And actually, even Tan Zhongyi is winning. So actually, it would be 9-4 then for the Balan Alaskan Knights. Is Arjun Erigaisi going to score for the SG Alpine Warriors?
It seems like perhaps both Arjun and Prague need to win.
Wow.
And look at that.
The
Players playing on seconds. This one, it's an endgame. Magnus in control. The Magnus touch is going to prevail here. Let's get our bird's eye view up and quickly rush to the board where Arjun Erigaisi is playing with 7 seconds against Temur Ratapur.
Let's go to board number 3. That is going to be a very, very important game from the match perspective, because whoever wins this, I think, will take the match. Well, maybe not, but could be likely.
I think Arjun doesn't know how poorly his team is doing, because that final move is basically a draw offer. And yeah, Temur will take...
Oh, they drew.
Yeah. Immediately.
They drew. Oh my god, that's bad news for SG.
And that's because of the different color complex bishop. Trade of the queens is game over immediately. Arjun stops to analyze, but we've got to rush over to the other board. This one ends peacefully, Sagar, but I think it's the only game that's going to end peacefully because fireworks all throughout. Take a look at that Tan Zhongyi board. Let's bring up our bird's eye view as the players are ready to call it a day on this particular board. And that bottom left board, Tan Zhongyi against the Reina Crush, the 4th board. We've got white's major pieces really targeting the king. Is that a board that we should take a deeper look at?
I think so, yeah. It seems the closest to the conclusion, and if that board ends the way we think it will end, with Tanjani converting this advantage into a full point, I think it's done, because that's 9 points in board wins, and even if Magnus wins and Prague wins, that's only 8 points in return. Wow. So Tanjani potentially with a match point here if she converts.
So we are for sure that Nodirbek will beat Gukesh, although it's still going on. Most likely he will win. And so this is a very important game. If Irina Crush can hold this, there's some chance for SG Alpine. Otherwise, they are in trouble.
Yeah, it preserves at least a shout, because Magnus is still likely to win, and Prague's position currently is not particularly better, but there's a lot of fight left, and Prague will know he has to win, so he will take additional risks, and perhaps he prevails, considering how in how hot of a form he is here.
Right.
This is a huge board. We've already got a result with Nino Batkashvili taking her point for the Balan Alaskan Knights. A draw on the Arjun Temur board. Nodebek in a dominating position with an extra piece. Can the Balan Alaskan Knights score another win here? A queen trade has been offered. With Black's king so unsafe, do you want to go into an endgame, or would you like to keep the queens on?
Honestly,
she answers the question for
yeah,
us.
I think I would have preferred to try to play for mate, but even the endgame seems to be completely winning, not only because we're a pawn up, but also because of just how much more active our pieces are. Eventually we have to find a way in. The only problem is our bishop is currently not really generating any threats. It's a nice looking bishop, but it's not doing very much. As soon as white creates a way for that bishop to participate in the game generally ends.
Right, right. And also the pawns are really weak there on the queen side for black, and I don't think that Irina will be able to save this. This is actually a huge result today for the Balan Alaskan Knights, right? They are almost on the verge of beating one of the top teams in this tournament, the SG Alpine Warriors. And there we have the scorecard. It's 7-1 in the favor of Balan Alaskan Knights.
One more victory decides it, yeah. And I think she now has pretty much a forced way to conclude the game in her favor. She can give a check with the bishop, and then when the king has the only one square, we can move our rook into the corner and just start creating mating threads.
Wow.
And check here, king only move, come to the corner. You come to the corner of the board here and threaten a huge check. This is not just a check, this is game over.
Yeah, it looks like the structure starts falling apart, but there are other ways to convert this as well. It's not the only good way. Yeah, she chooses instead to push the pawn forward. And Prague is ahead.
Ooh, Prague is actually saying that I won't let this go easily.
Let's zoom out for a moment from this board and head over to our prodigy board, as here white in command in this endgame. And there we've got Prague on the screen. He's playing against Ronak Sadhwani. The player's playing on second.
Yeah, seems like he's more or less completely in command now, because his king is safe despite white having seemingly a pawn right in front of it. That pawn could be used arguably in defense of the black king, and the white structure in the center is about to collapse.
Look at Prague's expressions there. He's so focused there. He's like, I'm going to win this. 5.5 out of 6 for him then.
Yeah. They're playing on seconds. They pretty much are playing on increment now. And yeah, Raunak is desperately trying to open some path for his pieces to launch an attack against the black king. It doesn't seem very likely, but he's doing the right thing, just trying to confuse his opponent.
But at the cost of a lot of pawns.
Yeah.
He's trying to open lines, but has to give up several pawns. And look at that, with that diagonal open now, Ronak looking at a queen invasion, but his own king is weak as well. And now white can jump in with a check, but that would come at a cost of...
Well,
just the king moving away, yeah.
Yeah, we can move the king away. We can also just interpose with the rook. That was why I think Prague chose the move that he chose. It allows him the luxury of even 2 very good replies to the check. And he is now 2 pawns up, so queen trades don't look very attractive for Raunak.
He does it. He goes for it.
So Prague wins this. Magnus is winning on board 1. So actually the very important game now is Tanjongi versus Crush. Or is that... That's also done, yes?
I think that's the correct equation, and we should, that we should go there.
So should we go to board number 4 very quickly?
Let's do it. Let's bring up our board number 4. It is a critical board for the match situation.
Whoever wins this,
the team goes.
Okay, if it's a draw, then still SG Alpine Warriors win, right?
Yeah, Tanjongi needs to win, but she is 2 pawns up, and she also managed to collect the entire queen side. So hard to imagine how she doesn't win from here.
So Tanjongi wins. That means Balan Alaskan Knights go through.
Right, absolutely.
They win the match. They take down Alpine Warriors.
Yeah, they're home on drive. She wins, and she will win from here. She has almost 5 minutes against basically the increment. Irina Crush has been playing on increment for the last, feels like 10 minutes. And the position is crumbling.
Another pawn falling.
Yeah, the position is just crumbling.
2 extra pawns, that's going to be 3 extra pawns once white picks up.
Guys, what a tournament this is turning out to be, right? When the Ganges Grandmasters were leading, they got beaten. Now the SG Alpine Warriors doing well, they are beaten. Yeah, no team is safe at the top.
And huge update, Sagar, that board 6, the Prodigy board, it
Prague
is
wins.
over. Prague takes his 5th win.
Wow.
It's
of the Tech
amazing.
Mahindra Global Chess League.
Amazing.
He's such a big asset. He's playing phenomenally well.
And many of his wins coming with black as well, so they are both more difficult to achieve and also bring more points. So, yeah, fantastic performance by him, but uncharacteristically will not be enough in this particular match, I don't think, because Tanjung is completely winning, and that should get it done for Balanaskan Knights.
So
Very important victory for them.
Right now,
And
the
look at
score
that
is
hesitation.
7-5.
Did you see the hesitation on Irina? She doesn't know where to go back with the king, where to move. It's already a difficult position.
Right.
And it all comes down to this. For the players, this is such a tough moment because you know your team is relying on you, but things are falling apart.
Absolutely. I think Irina, no matter how hard she tries here, she cannot save this one. And Balan Alaskan Knights have won it. Wow. Huge result there.
Magnus is still playing, but I'm pretty sure he will win. And once he wins, the score will be
10-9, right?
10-9.
But right now it's 10-5 in the favor of Balan Alaskan Knights. And even if Magnus wins it, it's not going to change the final result.
A huge moment.
Huge result.
For the Balan Alaskan Knights, taking down the most on-form team, the SG Alpine Warriors. And it was this player, Tan Zongi, a top class. She is a women world champion. And she has done it for her team.
Look at her saying, okay, thank God.
Breathing a sigh of relief.
Thank God my team played well.
Yeah.
And Jan Apamnashi, the icon player, he's going to go down to Magnus Carlsen, but his team has done the job for him. So the pressure is off. But we do see him fighting in this position.
Yeah.
White, Jan has got a rook and a pawn against the queen. Any chances of holding this to a draw?
Well, I famously, during, I think, 1/2 a year, scored half a point out of this, playing it with both colors. First, I failed to win it with the queen, and then I lost it immediately with the rook, so I'm not the best person to ask.
It's a tough position to defend. Look at that. It's a tough moment for this team on the screen. The SG Alpine Warriors, the two youngsters, Gukesh, who's having a very rough event so far. He's one of the best players in the world. He's ranked number 13 at a rating of 2744 at just 17 years old. But it was Abdus Satrov who took him down. A rivalry that we're going to see a lot of in the coming years.
Absolutely. Already the authors of the most dramatic game of the previous Olympiad, and that one will go down in history. The drama and the storyline of that game, and how important it was in the context of the whole tournament.
Right.
This will be spoken of in hushed tones for years to come.
This game that Sagar we have in front of us, it's reminding me of game 6 of a certain world championship match.
Well, there it was like Magnus used a lot of his feel to win it. But here I think it's a theoretically winning endgame for black. It only is depends on how quickly Magnus will find how to win this, because I think he knows he's winning.
Yeah, it's a bit trickier than he would like, I think, but yeah, I'm still fairly certain this gets converted. Let me show you a very beautiful draw, though. We get the king closer to the rook. We get checked by the pawn. I even thought that was the way to win, but it's not. We get king up. Pawn has to continue forward. We go back to that same square, and now we get checked by the rook. And if we take the pawn, we get checked from here.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is called a stalemate, as White King has got no squares to go. Everything is defended, and this would be a dream come true for Jan Apamnashi in this position.
Absolutely, yeah. That's not going to happen, but it's a beautiful line nonetheless. And I honestly thought this was the way to win until I realized no. That would be a way to end the game immediately, but not the way we would like.
And the reason that you want the king to attack the rook is because the king and queen need to work in harmony to actually win the game. Your idea, if white isn't careful, is to give a check, win the rook, and that's game over.
They actually got to that position with the king on d5 and the pawn on d6 already.
It's
so
on the board.
Yeah, so Magnus is still winning, but he is realizing now that yeah, okay, you can do it in a smarter way.
He's going the other side.
Yeah, you can do it without without allowing the rook to depart with checks, so that you can take the pawn in the more
I have another line
fashion.
that would be super pretty. Let's say same idea and white goes here. Now black can capture the pawn because yes, you can give a check, and if black takes, it is a stalemate. But in this case, you've got the queen taking the rook with the check, and this would be game over. So Magnus Carlsen being very precise, finding the way forward.
Absolutely, and Yan here knows that he's going to lose this, but he's still fighting on, because if he draws, the score will be 11-6. But if he loses, it would be 10-9. So
and game points are crucial to make it to the grand final.
In particular, now that we've seen one of the favorites lose, and one of the favorites will lose in this match, we do want to take as many points off them as possible as their opponents.
Look at that viewer there. You know, he's completely glued. By the way, he is a famous international master, Rakesh Kulkarni there. So a lot of people here glued to their seats watching this.
Not just here, we also, Sagar, heard from, well, the legend herself, Judith Polgar, and she's following the event as well, which was really cool to know.
Absolutely.
And loving the action that the Global Chess League is presenting to the world.
Absolutely agree with you. I mean, everyone's watching this. We have the best players here. We have Magnus playing against Nepo. I mean, if you're a chess fan, there's no better tournament to follow than the Global Chess League right now.
And speaking of following, Magnus, following the right path, has managed to win that pawn, slowly but surely heading to victory.
Yeah, I guess Nepo could just sort of say, okay, fine, I give up because I believe in Magnus's technique. But I guess there's no harm in playing on for a few more moves.
Yeah, you continue from here, but I think the way the pieces are, Nepo will not even be able to continue for very long, because...
You end up losing the rook.
Yeah, I think you end up losing the rook against a precise sequence somewhere.
And let's just tell our viewers who are watching, if you've got a rook against the queen, you want your king and rook to stay as close as possible. The moment they're separated from each other with the right sequence of check, black manages to win the rook by force.
Also, I love the move that on the far side where you put the queen, because if there's a check now with the rook from below, you move your king.
Ooh!
Oh, what?
No,
that's
the board. That's the board malfunctioning. But yeah, now the game will end because we are attacking the rook. We also threatening mate on the h8 square, and the only move you can even make is check from e7. Then the king goes to f6, and you are out of
on the board. And
you're out of nodes.
We're expecting handshakes this very moment.
There you go. Magnus wins, but not enough for his team. 10-9 for the Balan Alaskan Knights.
A huge victory for the Balan Alaskan Knights as they get the points their way to move up the leaderboard. Magnus and Jan Nepomniachtchi, two players who've known each other since they were kids.
Right.
The big battle here, have played a world championship match against each other. And this one, Magnus takes it. He looked at his team and he's disappointed.
Yeah, you know, last time he lost, I think the last match, he lost his game, but his team won. And now he won his game, but his team lost. I guess he's not having all the happy moments there for himself.
And you know, Sagar, when he won the game and the team lost, he was so disappointed.
Yeah.
And now he won, the team lost, and he's again not happy with his win. And that shows that what a team player he is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, not a happy day for Magnus Carlsen there and the team SG Alpine Warriors, but a relief for Balan Alaskan Knights as they make a strong comeback in this tournament. I think we also have a guest in our studio. So when we go to that segment, it's going to be very interesting. Maybe our viewers can guess who it's going to be.
Oh, we see Magnus Carlsen there on the screen taking the action in. And with that, it is match over for the SG Alpine Warriors. The Balan Alaskan Knights take a big win. And we've got joining us in the studio from the Balan Alaskan Knights, Temur Ratibov. We'll be back with Temur after this break.
And we are back, guys, with an exhilarating match we just had here. The Ballon Alaska Knights versus the Alpine Warriors, guys. Look, we're in the studio. Got myself. We have Timur Rajabov, and we have Sagar here, guys. That was great. What you think about the match there, Sagar?
It was tremendous. I mean, Balan Alaskan Knights were on the bottom of the leaderboard, and they were facing one of the best teams in the tournament. Timur, what a victory for your team.
Yeah, I think it was a great match. Honestly, like almost everything was going according to our plan, but at some point, yeah, I think Nepo were pushed, and the fight on the youngsters board, we cannot call them youngsters actually, they're strong grandmasters already long ago, and the fight was expected, and well, the rest, I thought I'm having a pretty decent chances to have some advantage, but at some point I think I did some inaccuracy, certainly, which is always possible, even in classical chess, but what to say about rapid chess. Yeah, but so overall good match, and very happy for all the players that won. Noderbeck, crushing style, and Nino, out of maybe unpleasant position, just played great chess, and so yeah, fun.
Starting to bounce back, really. Of course, you guys are playing great chess now. What do you think is working the best for you right now?
Well, we're more or less obliged to win almost every match, so that's the thing where you don't think twice. Yeah, you have to do your job at your maximum. And I think all the players just giving their best now. And I mean, I don't say that they didn't in the previous matches. Yeah. But some things at some point, you know, you also have to be lucky because 2 teams out of 6 amazing teams qualify. Right. So that's why certainly you need some luck within the games and the results at the end, especially with the very unusual point system. Yeah. So yeah, at some point you think that you are winning, in fact you are losing. So it's kind of tricky. And always you look at the boards. Let's say like. Then yeah, you have to realize some math also. Sometimes you have like few minutes, you don't understand what's happening on the board, but you also don't understand what's happening on the score. Exactly. So you have to be very fast. Yeah, but anyway, it's fun, and certainly it's an amazing event to take part in. I'm very happy to be here.
Very nice. Lots of emotions, lots of games, lots of nerves as well, guys. Let's take a look at the results. And here we go. Okay, so, all right, Ballon Alaska Knights take that 10-9. What a close match that was against some Warriors, but the Warriors were nothing for the Knights, at least not in this match today. Yana Pomniachi goes down to Magnus Carlsen. Norderbeck takes down Gukesh there 3-0, right, winning with the white pieces, get the 3 points there. Timur Rajabov with a very smooth draw with the very strong player, Arjun Aragaisi. Tan Zanji versus Irina Crush got the win there. Nino with the win, and Ronak Sadwani losing, going down to Prague there, guys. So of course the Ballon Alaska Knights take the match. All right, quick question here. How do you handle your nerves here? Rajabov.
Well, I'm not really thinking about it. I don't know how do we handle, I mean, all the professionals. So, yeah. I mean, it's not easy, certainly. Yeah. Like, it's stressful, and also team event. I mean, you understand that any game, any move of yours can just really influence the result, the final result. And there are so many guys, like, you know, playing and doing their best. And so because of one of your mistakes, anything can go simply wrong. But at the same time, we're professionals. Everybody understands each other, even if the play doesn't go the way it should. And so there is a full support in the team, and I like the atmosphere. I think that everybody is very cheerful. And today we just saw that we have to win, and we did it. So the way we did it, nobody cares. we just have to do it. Yeah, and you know, it was shaky, but it's always like shaky here, like with these teams. Yeah, especially of course. I mean, these are the leading teams, but all the teams are super strong. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but there is no specific stuff, yeah, that I'm drinking, like, I don't know, some tea or anything else, yeah, to help my nerves. Yeah, but it's very stressful. Even my game today, which you called surprisingly a very smooth draw against Ergaisi, it's like half of the board was hanging, like so many pieces were hanging all the time. It's like so many pawns, and it's D, F, E, G, H, H, G, whatever, and like so many moves. And at some point I probably lost control because I was just really having a pleasant edge. And did something wrong, but who cares? Yeah, we won the match, so that's
exactly. Yeah, exactly. As I like to say as well, I mean, it doesn't matter how you get it; it matters if you got it done. And they got it done today. The Ballon Alaska Knights, guys. Let's take a look at the points table, and here we have the points table up here now. You see the Ganges Grandmasters with 52. Wow, Alpine Warriors right behind them with 51. Very close. You got the Upgrad Mamba Masters right behind them, 37. Alaskan Knights, the Ballon Alaska Knights are coming for you at the 4th spot there. Trevini Continental Kings and Chinkari Golf Titans back at the bottom. Again, they have some work to do there. So, of course, it's going to be It's gonna be tough there. Cigar, you got any questions for Rajab?
Yeah. I have a question, Timur. You've played so many team tournaments in your life. You've played for Azerbaijan team. You've played at the European Club Cup and so on. What do you feel about this team? Do you feel it has a mix of very aggressive players? Nepo, Raunak, Nodirbek, yourself, Tanjongi. What's your feeling like?
Yeah, the team is amazing. Of course, it's like if you take such a team, let's say for some, would it be like the championship like this? Like probably, one of the leading teams in the world for sure. So, if you take this, under 21, there's Raunak. And the girls there are super strong. Like Nepo is there, of course, Abdusatorov that we moved to the second board. But certainly, I think it was a good decision generally. So it pays off, and very aggressive, also young, guy, and really just wants to win every game. And sometimes it's a problem, but he will understand it in 10 years. Now he's too young to understand it. Now he's
you were the same when you were young.
Yeah, everybody's like this. Yeah, 17, 18, like revolutionaries, like all these guys going on, to win all the games and stuff. Then sometimes you go to the super high level. I don't know with these guys, new generation. They're all aggressive, so probably it will be like clashes, bloody clashes on the top. But when I was much younger and like in Abdusatorov's age, when I went to play with these guys like Anand, Kramnik, Leko, and so on, it's like slightly tiny mistake, and you get all your aggressive emotions, back at home, and then you just I don't understand why you even lost, because it seems so good. Yeah, and with these guys, it's a pleasure to play in one team. Honestly, like I enjoy every day that we have the team meeting and we have any other kind of meetings like gatherings for the dinners and so on. So like really happy, and the team is cool. The players are great, and the atmosphere most importantly is very good in the team spirit. Abhijit is trying to do his best, of course, but it's also not easy to maintain such let's call it like a star field, of the players. There's always somebody has his own emotions or something, and he says like for example, I don't know, you have to make draw today, but like play calm, and the guy says yeah, of course, but then goes out and says how can I do that?
Please,
no way, no way, no way I get this instruction. But that happens. But it's, I'm joking, of course. But generally the atmosphere is very good, cool. Everybody's fighting. And what I like is that after we lost some matches, some of them certainly we didn't get our luck, which was, the matches were very close, and we just lost one game at some point, which was winning or something, or drawish or something. And due to this, we lost some of the matches. But generally, what I like is that everybody's still eager to fight and just wants to do their best. This is very important, because in team events, sometimes, like even like many other team events, European Club Cups, for example, you lose some match and everybody's like frustrated, and you can find half of the players there somewhere in the different restaurants, not even talking to each other. But here it's not the same. We're gathering, and like the atmosphere is very cool, and also Nepo was very cheerful before the game, but we didn't expect him to go all in, but he did. But I don't know exactly what was the reason. Probably he felt he was better. Yeah, but I'll talk to him. But I think he was better. It seemed his position was slightly better. So he's a fighting player, and of course once he has a chance, he went all in, even though we saw that maybe we will keep it solid and somebody at some point will win. Yeah, but this doesn't work with these guys.
At the end of the
with
day,
these guys, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Sure. But he would be happy that the team won.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, the thing is that whatever you call chess, like, of course it's an intellectual game, and you can say it's a science, you can say it's, it's art, or you can call it this way, but objectively nowadays also it's a sport. So result is the first thing that, we're ready actually to be lost in all the matches and win all of them. It's what, like once Topalov was asked, in some interviews, and they said you have some lack of positional understanding probably, so you do some things like too aggressive and so on. Maybe you need to improve on that side. He says, no, I'm like world number, whatever, two or one in the world. I prefer to play the way I do and understand less, but win more games and become the world champion and something. So yeah, so this is as well with our team. Yeah, we just want to win, and now already it doesn't matter how.
It doesn't matter how.
Yeah,
exactly. It doesn't matter how you get it. It matters if you got it done, says Timur Rajabov. And we got it done with the Battle in Alaska Nights, guys. Let's look at the matchups for tomorrow. Here we go. Okay, we got the Ganges Grandmasters versus the Chingari Gulf Titans. They're looking to have an upset there as they're at the bottom of the standings there. And upgrade Mamba Masters there versus Trevini Continental Kings. We got some matches tomorrow, guys. Make sure you are ready for that and have some fun too as well, guys. All right, it's going to be fun. It's going to be amazing. Thanks for being in the studio today, guys. This is the matches for tomorrow, and we are signing off here, guys. Make sure you come back same time, same place tomorrow. Love you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.